It's Jax. What up, Dallas? Let's go.
Martin Luther had a dream, but Freddy Krueger had a Ruger. Ex-Malcolm out the picture, so now we back to the future. Now we back to these losers embracing death like they used to. Poking out they chest, but listen, son, now you leaking that future. So who's the shooter? Is it your man? Or was it a fan? Or was it a stand? I would beg to differ. In hindsight, I bet you he said he was not a nigga. Plus Biggie Smalls was just minding his business, yo. Smoking an Optimo. Somebody got to drop the homie Biggie has got to go. And they couldn't stop it, no, I wish that they could. Yeah, the world needs change, but man, I wish that we would. So why the long frown? A man harmed from a 4 pound. His blood ripples on the floor from the war sound. His mama sitting at the wake, hoping the Lord's found. Another dead, another gone now. Damn.
Another man done gone. Another man done gone from the county from another man done gone.
George Eliot said that it's best to be what you wanna be. Fucking do what you wanna do, so I do what I wanna do. Bet you did it to floss. Bitch, I did what I wanted. Bet you did it and lost. Bitch, I did it and won it. Shit, I'm never coming back. Listen, I just wanna rap. Gee, I told y'all all of that on about a dozen tracks. I don't give a fuck. I just wanna rap. Spitting fire on this track like a fucking Thundercat. Plus this mic is bleeding rojo. This shit is a no-no. Rolling in that low-low. Plus I'm from that Baltimore. Need a folk smoking on my logo. Ready for the woe and we so still with the flow. Somebody got a robo. Heard the lanes and I swear they so too much love for the fame just to go broke. You said think I had the rap game in the chokehold. Never think I got the whole world in a rope. Gotta think of damn dog, you crazy. Is he the next Jay-Z? My crystal ball is hazy, but I don't know. Maybe.
Welcome back to the Insanity Check podcast. It is Chris here, and we are back with another Insanity Check. I am fresh off of New York Comic Con, and I am here joined by somebody who is now went from not being on the show at all to like you've been on the show like this show and Hell No Q. You've been like it's like 4 times. It's like your 4th time being on, right?
This is like my 4th time in a short period of time. Yeah. I am honored that you think so highly of me to keep inviting me.
Well, there's that. There's some reason why. I mean, I'm gonna go into this. Everybody knows this is Joy from Black Feminists.
Hi, everyone.
There's some reason why this happens. One, you're a lovely guest, and everybody loves having you on. So that's
Thank you.
That's number one. Number one. Number 2, you kind of just invite yourself a lot of times.
That's very true.
So, like, I'm not gonna lie. When I went to New York Comic Con, I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my show when I come back. I mean, usually, default is always I can bring Phenom on and we can talk about what we do. But I've been trying to get, like, because people heard Phenom when I had him on San Diego Comic Con. I was like, well, it would be nice to get somebody who hasn't been on the show to talk about New York Comic Con. And I listened to people and I was like, well, this is Joey's first New York Comic Con. So I had that in the back of my mind. So when we saw you at New York Comic Con, then you're the one that brought it up. I didn't even get a chance to bring it up. You brought it in. So you kind of invite yourself, even though I don't mind.
I'm like the Jazzy Jeff of the MTR network.
Yeah.
Like I just open the door, come into the house.
Right. Put your feet up, I was there. The third reason is something I just told you, and I told you right before you came on. And this is not really a compliment, I don't think, because I don't think he finds it a compliment and he hates it too. You're the female version of D-Palm in that when I do invite you on, even if it's like fuckery always follows you. So
that is very accurate. I've noticed that. As I was telling Chris before we started the podcast, I was on Twitter every day this week, and every day things went awry, and I was just like, yo, goddamn, we're gonna have to talk about this during the podcast.
Like, you had the audacity to ask me, so what are you talking about today? And I was just like, really? You're gonna ask me what we're gonna talk about today?
I really try to be hella coy and be like, oh, so we're not gonna talk about this, right? Like, I really try to give you the energy of please don't let's talk about this. But now we're gonna talk. I know we're gonna talk about.
Oh no, we're gonna talk about kittens and small puppies and all fun stuff. That's what it's gonna be like. It's gonna be fucking great. Yeah, no, you know what the fuck we're gonna talk about.
No, I tried it.
Yeah, you really did try. I'm like, oh, come on, are you serious right now? Have you been asleep the last week? I mean, no. But we are gonna start off. We're not gonna get into all the fucker right away. We're gonna start off talking about New York Comic Con. But before we get into that, I got some stuff to take care of first. Again, this show is being sponsored by the Pool Law Firm. And Susan Berry of the Pool Law Firm, which is located in Silver Spring, Maryland. Susan Berry and Troy Pool are excellent attorneys in the Maryland, D.C. area. They are from the D.C. and Maryland area. So if you're in those two places, please check them out. The Pool Law Firm handles criminal law, family law, and personal injury. If you need an attorney, you want to know more, head over to their wonderful website. The number and website is www.thepoollawfirm.com. That's pool with an E, Poole, lawfirm.com. The number is 301-585-3014. Also, tweakedaudio.com for all your earbuds and headphones. Put the code in reviews, and you get 33% off, free shipping, and free lifetime warranty. Also, you know what? I will say that for after we talk New York Comic Con stuff. Let's get into again. Let's start with let's ease into this show by doing some fun stuff first. All right.
Jesus,
this was your first New York Comic Con.
It is.
You had done before getting to New York Comic Con, and I don't think you were on after. Were you on? Were you on in between? Were you on after you did Dragon Con? You might have been on after you did Dragon Con.
I was on after I did Dragon Con.
Yeah, so you already talked about. I was going to ask you just talk about Dragon Con first, but I forgot. You know, you ended up on the show after Dragon Con.
Yeah, that was what was it? Fake ass patriotism.
Yes. That was that. So so New York Comic Con was I guess your first big con. I mean, Dragon Con's not small, but compared to New York Comic Con, your impressions.
So, if you guys have heard me on the show before. You guys know I'm a New Yorker, South Bronx stand-up, BX all day. So, I'm a New Yorker. I've lived in New York pretty much all my life. And the fact that I've never been to New York Comic Con there's a reason for that. Because the Jacob Javits Center is fucking overwhelming. I know how large it is. I know how many people can be housed there. So I'm always like, no. But I had a press pass, and I was going to be covering for Blavity, my last Blavity project with Ira, who you should get on the show one day. He's great. We did the coverage for New York Comic Con. So it was... I should have listened to Chris. Let me tell you why. So Chris was like ahead of time, this is going to be a lot. This is going to be the most. And he was absolutely right. Day one... I got put in a work training, so I came late and I was tired, and there were so many people. I didn't know where the press area was. I was sitting amongst the commoners, as Chris said. Chris had to come get me so that I would use my press pass for good and not for evil.
Look, it was so funny because you called me, you were like, hey, I'm like, where are you at? She's like, I'm in the press area. I'm like, okay, well, because there is, so when you go up the stairs and you're like, I think it's the third floor or fourth floor, of the Javits Center, there is it I think that's the fourth, considered the fourth floor. That's where the VIP and the press can go. So when you sit in the press area, it's like, okay, there actually is a separate press area up there that's closed off with curtains, and I just never go in there. So I'm like, well, maybe she's in there. I look around, I was like, I do not see a black woman in here. So you're not there. I'm like, where are you? Like, well, I'm on the stairs. I'm like, there are no. Oh my goodness, she hasn't come in.
I mean, like, in my defense, I just did not know. Like, I'd never been there. So I'm sitting here like, I thought this was the press area. And then he was like, no, you go up the escalator, and that's our press area. And I'm like, oh, I did not know this.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I was like, all the
he looked at me like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you be standing amongst the commoners? I'm like, God
yeah,
damn.
These are all the people that got rejected because they come up the stairs looking for a place to sit, and they get rejected, told no, their badges aren't good enough.
Listen, I'm not used to having all of this privilege, okay? As a black woman, this is new to me. So I was just like, what? And so I get there, right? Finally meet Chris, give him a hug. He does not catfish you ladies. He looks just like his pictures, so that's important to note. And, day two, we were running around, doing video and whatnot, and taking pictures, going to panels. That was a lot. Then day three, I caught the con crud. So if you don't know what the con crud is, it's if you go to a comic book convention of any capacity and there is a lot of people, some are unsanitary, and you end up getting sick. I got deathly sick. Like day three, I was walking around like I was a zombie. Multiple people, including Phenom and Chris, was like, "You good? Mm-hmm. You all right?"
No, she looked. She was
saw me, and I looked dead. Like I looked pale. And I'm very brown, if you've ever met me in real life. I'm hella brown. So the fact that I was looking pale and sick, they were all like, we are really concerned for you. I was out of it. But then that day three, Phenom was running around doing video for another event because this year, for New York Comic Con, they broke up Not all of the events were in Jacob Javits. Some were in Hammerstein. Some were in Madison Square Garden. And so
which by the way, I just want to say, I've been asking for them to do that more, and I did get my wish this year. It does suck because that is a 20-minute walk from the Jacob Javits to Madison Square
Javits is on 11th Avenue. MSG is on 8th.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But I do think that they needed to do that. Because if you did not do that, there would have been even more people in Javits. And so I think it's wise for them to do that, is what San Diego does. Most of it is not, well, I'm not going to say most of it is in the convention center, but a lot of their surrounding hotels, and it's just the way San Diego is set up, it's easier for them to get things in there. New York is not set up that way, at least not where they have the stuff at, and it is a long walk, but I think it did alleviate things, but it did.
You know what, and Dragon Con has started to do that, because Dragon Con, they have a lot of hotels in that downtown Atlanta area. Mm-hmm. So they had some events in certain hotels in certain areas. So they were all much shorter walking distance than New York Comic Con, but still, like the other cons are doing it. So I understand why they did it. But because of that, Phenom had to be ghost. It wasn't like he can come back immediately. So I actually played Phenom and was the videographer for Chris when he was doing some press for Justice League Dark, which is really cool because I got to see what these guys do. And, you know, I'm going to be a bit biased because I'm on the show, but I'm being very earnest. Honestly, and I tweeted about this. Honestly, Phenom and Chris, for the size that they are in terms of the media publication that they're covering for press, they are a powerhouse duo. They do a lot of coverage. Like, they have it down to a science. They taught me how to use my own camera because I didn't know how to use it. Like, they're very, very, very well equipped. This is stuff that's coming out of their own pocket, and they do a really, really good job on the coverage. Like, the video is A1. I've seen Chris behind the scenes now, well, you know, in iMovie, in Final Cut Pro, like, putting together videos in between, doing more interviews. Like, they're very much of a very committed team, and so you should always give them press passes because they do a good job.
I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to send that when we do San Diego. Just be like, hey, and here's somebody else telling us how much coverage we do and what we do. No, right. I really appreciate that. Cause,
of course.
It's, yeah, I mean, and this year, I always complain about how I hate New York. Everybody knows that. You know, even in New York, I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan. This year, actually, New York Comic Con was probably our best New York Comic Con, minus the snafu with the trains. I'm gonna let that one slide. But other than that, we didn't have any major problems. Next year, you're going to be seeing Phenom and I. We're going to put out a special donation request for our Uber because I think that we've decided that our best way to get in and out of the city is to Uber. And it's only like $30. It wasn't like unless you get to like when it's like middle of rush hour, like when the train shut down, getting back out into Jersey. That's when Uber and Lyft jumped up to like $150. But other than that, we were able to get from our hotel to Jacob Javits with $30 one way. So we might put out a special request for donations just for our Uber fund next year. Cause I think that might be our way to go. Because I think what we might try next year is to take the train up, and not actually drive all the way up just to give us some rest. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of dead on Phenom was dead on Thursday because I think we only got like 3 hours of sleep. Then he drove all the way up, and then we had interviews at 3:00. So we dropped our stuff out at the hotel, and then went right to the Jacob Javits Center, and then waited for our first set of interviews. But
hardworking dudes. I told you guys. Like, no, honestly, they're very hardworking, and to see them do it behind the scenes was really nice. I got to meet Phenom for the first time, so that was very cool. And I got to meet some other people who I know them adjacent to the MTR network, but never met them, and they're wonderful people and they're hilarious. So that was really cool. Day 4, we did press together because we did the underground panel, and I was doing my side. Me and I were doing our side for Blavity, and then Chris and Phenom were doing their side for MTR Network. But to be
I'm mad I left. I'm mad I left because I thought that there weren't any video at the table, so I left. And so Phenom had to set up video at his table. If I had done that, I would have stayed in the room.
No, absolutely. But it was just nice to be in the same space and see how they work, see how, everybody else works. Sunday, and I have to plug it. I also went to the Fan Bros panel. Fan Bros, I jokingly called them the Fan Bros and Adi the whole weekend because they were rolling hella deep.
Yes,
but
they were
They were, and I was proud of them. They had their shirts, they were represented. I thought it was really cool. I went to their panel, it was really good. Something to note, somebody who is a popular publication person, she was tweeting about how a lot of the panels had either no to one women, including the 50th anniversary of Black Panther panel, which I went to, and there was really only one woman, Aletha Martinez, who does the art, who's going to be doing the art for one of the artists for World of Wakanda. And she came late, so we thought it was just going to be all men, and I was just looking like, this looks odd. But Fan Bros had equal amount of women as there were to men, so that's something to be sad. It's sad that you have to give them hand claps for that, but you really do, because nobody else thought about it. It was very male heavy in a lot of the panels that we went to, which is a disappointment, because it's not like, you know, it's keeping up that old stereotype that women don't love comics and women doesn't love, you know, pop culture and gaming and things of that nature, which is, we know is a bold-faced lie, but here we are. So it was just nice to see women of color on the panel, 2 Black women and 1 Asian woman on the panel, speaking their mind, giving their opinions, and they had legitimate, you know, thought out thoughts. So I appreciated it. Shout out to the Fan Bros for doing that. And so, yeah, that was my whole New York Comic Con. Overwhelming. Glad I did it. If I do it next year, I will be under the mighty Black Girl Nerds regime. Since I live here, it's just easier. So I'll be applying for Black Girl Nerds. Here's the funny part. I applied for Black Girl Nerds to do the coverage this year, and they played me because I'm a podcaster only for Black Girl Nerds. And there was that whole snafu with podcasting that you had to deal with. Yeah. And it was just like not working out. And Ira needed help for Blavity anyway, so it just ended up working out. But next year they better not play my life, because I'm definitely going for the podcasting. So
yeah, that was a weird one this year, where a lot of podcasts that went last year they got rejected and couldn't get in. Because I get it. It's hard to verify numbers for podcasters. But my whole thing was, listen, I know that they always say this, well, previous years of coverage doesn't mean you'll get in. I'm like, yeah, okay, at this point, I've been covering this for 4 fucking years.
Right. You see my coverage. I've been covering it for a while, and we always produce content right after. So I can understand if it's like we can't guarantee it, because some people do go for the first year and give you crappy content. But like, if I'm going for 3 or 4 years in a row, and you're obviously inviting me back because the stuff I'm sending you is the coverage in order for me to get in for the next year, is the coverage I did last year. Stop playing games. Like, it's not that serious.
Right. It gets kind of crazy. So, yeah, it's like I said, this was our best New York Comic Con, just because normally we don't get, and I think this is even something that New York themselves have been trying to change, is why I think they started doing the Madison Square Garden, things like that. That way they can avoid. I think it's easier to sell big studios and some of the bigger stars to come to Madison Square Garden than it is to Jacob Javits, because again, so Phenom and I split up in when you went to go do, you helped me with Justice League Dark interviews. And I was able to get one-on-one interviews, something that we haven't really done before. So I got 2 sets of one-on-one interviews. Got ones with Justice League Dark cast. So I got Jason O'Mara, who voices Batman. I got Matt Ryan, who's obviously not only voices Constantine, but was Constantine in the live action show. Have one-on-one videos with them. I'll put those up. I got one-on-ones with 3 of the big cast of Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is my favorite one, just because I wasn't really prepared for them. Because when we first got to the room, they told us we didn't have us on the list, even though we had emails from them. So they put us at the round table, and then they were like, "Oh, well, no, you guys can do one-on-one." So I had to switch over to a different mode, and I was already exhausted. But we got in one-on-one interviews with, and I put these up already for Chloe Bennett and for Gabriel Luna, who is Robbie Reyes / Ghost Rider, and I still have one for Clark Gregg that I need to edit and put that up. So those are all of our one-on-one interviews. But we got while I was doing the Justice League Dark ones, the reason why Phenom wasn't there and why you had to jump in, he was over at Madison Square Garden taking pictures for Troll Hunter, which has Kelsey Grammer and a bunch of other big names over there. But while he was there, apparently, the John Wick people came out for pictures. So he was able to get pictures of Common. He got pictures of Keanu Reeves. Like, he's got, we got so many things that we weren't expecting to get. And it was great. I started watching, I haven't finished season 1 yet, but I want to. I have audio for the interviews, and I don't know how I'm going to put them up yet, for Humans. Because some of these, they tell us that we can't do video, which is weird because we have audio. So I don't know why they can't have video. So I couldn't have video for the Humans one, but I have Humans. Like you said, we had Underground, which was a surprisingly packed room. Like, that might have been the most packed press room I was in all weekend. But it's also because they brought everybody from that show. Like, they had, like, it was not just a packed press room with press, but they had, like, 10 people. And I'm, like, normally for New York Comic-Con, they don't bring, like, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't bring everybody. They didn't bring everybody they brought with them from San Diego. They brought 3 of the cast, and they brought Jeff Loeb. Everybody else, that's usually what it is. It's like 3 or 4 people, 5 the max. Man, for Underground, they brought everybody. You had to be at least like 10 fucking people there. It was a fucking madhouse. So, yeah. But that was great. You know the other thing, too, I like about New York Comic-Con, and I think I say this all the time, and I don't give New York Comic-Con enough credit for this. It is probably if you are a person of color, it is a more, I can only speak this from the press point of view, but as a press person, it feels more inviting, just because I'm usually not the only press person in the room.
That is very true.
That's not the same for photographers. We'll get into that in a minute. But when it comes to press and being either representing an outlet or representing your own outlet, there's usually, and it's not just like, obviously Underground was packed full of black people, but even other ones like Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. There was Phenom took a picture of one guy who had his kid there with him. I don't know what outlet he represented, but it was a tall, big black guy. He had his kid with him, who I think had a Fallout mask on or something like that? I can't remember, but Phenom took a picture of him, so I'll have to talk to him and find out what outlet he was representing. But like, you get, and it's not, and again, it's not just like black men. You have black women. You have, I found that a little bit more international press too. Latinos, like, you get a pretty good mix of press. And I think they should really definitely get credit for that. Because when I go to San Diego, and it could just be accessibility when it comes to San Diego versus New York Comic-Con versus New York. It's I'm not saying there's a lack of diversity, but New York is definitely way more diverse when it comes to the people who get to cover it. And yeah, I think we should definitely give, in this day and age, you definitely give credit to that. So.
No, that's very cool. Yeah. No, I agree with you. New York also is, in general, extreme melting pot, even though they're trying to gentrify us out. But it's an extreme melting pot. I think New York Comic-Con honestly just reflects who are the people inside, because even me at DragonCon, I found black women a lot easier cosplaying at New York Comic-Con than I did at DragonCon.
That's interesting.
So it definitely, that's definitely the case. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think that, I mean, with all the people there, and I've seen people complain about, again, I've become so bougie. I literally was on the floor for maybe 10 minutes. I went to go buy some stuff.
He went to the floor on Sunday and was like, I'm going to grab some stuff to buy. And that was it. Like, right. He really stayed in the press area the whole time. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know why he's doing that. And then I got sick the third day, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, you're like, oh, wait, it makes sense now. One is that, and two is because next year I might not even make, because I'm already now looking at, like, this is what Phenom and I always do. We go to a con, we do really good, and then we start looking at what we need to buy to up our game even more. So now I'm thinking about we like, again, Phenom does photos, I do videos, and if we're gonna start doing more on camera interviews now, I gotta up my game on that. So now I've been looking at what I'm gonna do to build my video rig so that I can to do this. And if I do that, yeah, I'm not lugging that stuff around the floor. I mean, even if I find somebody to watch this stuff for me, it's just there's not time. And that's also what happened to us too. Like that Saturday, our Saturday was disgusting. We showed up, I think, at 12:30 or so, and from 12:30 to, I want to say 4:30, we were working. Like we had work, so it was like I don't have time to go to the floor at this point anyway, because we are now getting into so much stuff, or trying to get into so much stuff. And I think this was the first year we didn't sneak into anything either. We didn't even try. We didn't have to. We had too much stuff. We turned down some things. Actually,
right.
I could not make it into. I think Phenom got in to take pictures. and I was hoping so. We couldn't do the Man in the High Castle. I couldn't get any interviews with them. They denied us at San Diego, but I wanted to do. I watched that show. I wanted to do that the same time as Justice League Dark, and I got one-on-one interviews with Justice League Dark. So it's like I had to make the calculation. I was like, well, if I can do one-on-ones, I'm gonna do one-on-ones, and that happened to be at the same time as Iron Fist. We were gonna get into Iron Fist anyway, but yeah, like it was good. Couple of shout outs. Obviously, shout out to you for your help during Justice League Dark. It made me that's you helping me, and not saying that you did anything wrong. It was great, and you saved us. But that's what made me realize, okay, I need to up my video rig game, because if I didn't have you there, I wouldn't have been able to do one-on-one interviews.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at it like, all right, I got to find a way to set my rig up so I can have a monitor that faces me, so I can be a one-man interview if I need to be. But yeah, you helped me out tremendously there. Also, shout out to Jeff from Jeff J Says. I got to get him up, come on the show again. Jeff was a big help. He interviewed Tom King for us. He got some of D-Palm's questions in the Tom King. I'll have that up for him. And he helped us tremendously with that. And he just shared information, got me a bunch of other stuff out there. And also shout out to everybody who met up with us in Brother Jimmy's on, was it Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday night. We went to Brother Jimmy's by Madison Square Garden on 8th, and we drank and yeah, had fun. So
I just want to also apologize to those people at Brother Jimmy's, because I was not my usual effervescent self, because I was dying. So next time I got y'all, I'm ready. I got all of my medicine for next year. I'll be better.
See, it's better. Just don't
company, I promise.
Just don't go on the floor. That's all you got to do. Just don't go on the floor. I mean, like, again, I have nothing wrong with going on the floor. And here's the thing too. I realized that most of the stuff I bought, I could buy at San Diego. So if I do San Diego and New York, there's really no reason for me to go on the floor for New York. I saw a couple things I wanted to grab some for some people. So I grabbed that stuff, and I had to talk to EFX to ask them when the fuck my Iron Man helmet's coming. But other than that, I was like, I'm done. This way too, like, Thursday was way too many people. You weren't there on Thursday, were you? No.
I was towards the end.
Oh, towards the end. Yeah, so like, here's the thing. 4 years ago, Thursday was the light. Like, there was nobody there on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Thursday, you would come in, you could relax, you could walk the floor. Hell, I do this at San Diego. San Diego, on preview night, I go walk the floor. Hell, you can even walk the floor on Thursday a little bit. Granted, the convention hall is a lot bigger in San Diego, but you can walk around at least. Man, Thursday, I looked around and was like, yeah, I'm not doing this shit. Like, nope.
There was a lot of people on Thursday. It held nothing to Saturday and Sunday. Saturday and Sunday was disgusting.
Yeah.
There's so many people here.
Yeah, no. Not doing that, folks. Not doing that. I will, You got to make sure you bring your hand sanitizer, and I'm not going to say you could walk around with a mask if you want to, like one of the surgical masks. Just tell people you're cosplaying.
I'm going to do that.
Just tell people you're cosplaying. I'm just saying, the floor is disgusting. You're going to end up punching somebody in the face, not on purpose, but on accident. You will get hit by a stroller. You will. It's inevitable. You will get hit by a stroller. You might step on somebody's child. It's just what's going to happen. Like I said, I just avoid it all because I say fuck that. Same thing. I become such a bougie piece of shit. I do the same thing in San Diego where people are like, yeah, I'm gonna go walk the floor. I'm like, you guys have fun with that. I'm gonna sit at the bar and I'm gonna drink. And
so if I do have the opportunity to go to San Diego next year, I definitely am gonna walk the floor once, and then I'm gonna just join you for drinks because I've learned my lesson. Mm-hmm. I learned my lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's it is, but no, it is definitely a fun time. There's a lot of things to do. Like, again, people need to realize that these, like, I always, every now and then I always see people complaining about not enough space and it being too many people. Like, at this point, if you don't want to be around a bunch of people, if you want instant access and not to line up early, if you want, I saw somebody complaining online about how it was a popular show and they put them in a small room and they didn't do their research. Like, you have to understand that there's not a lot of people running these events. Like, apparently I found out that there's one person who approves of the press stuff. So I totally understand how what happened this year with her denying a bunch of people happened. You got to understand that this is just not the con for you then. If you don't like a lot of people, don't go to New York Comic Con. Don't go to San Diego Comic Con. Because there's going to be a lot of people. Unless you get a VIP badge and you can avoid the lower areas, don't.
Yeah. I learned my lesson, but also just the last thing so we can end it on a positive note. It was so nice to meet you in person.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It was so nice to meet you in person.
It's nice to meet you too. And like I said, thank you very much for the help you gave us.
Absolutely. I'm a fan first. Like, I am a fan of the MTR network. I am a premium member. I've said this more than once. Like, I don't, Jazzy Jeff the MTR network just because, like, I actually put money towards the MTR network. I am a fan of it first, beyond anything. So I'm always happy to help.
Yes. And we definitely could use your help and needed your help. So, next year, usually it's just me and Phenom applying. Next year, we're going to try to see if we can get at least DPOM in there, because I think having a third person with us, even if I can't get him as press, I might just get him to just a VIP pass to get up into the area where we're at and walk the floor with us a little bit. Just because, I mean, it's getting to the point where Phenom and I, we can't, we're a good two-man crew, but we're now getting to the spots now where I look at it as like, yeah, it's only two of us, man, and everybody else got like at least three. and again, not saying that we don't make it work, we do. I think the underground one was the funniest one. I'm going to tell the story. We'll end on this one. So we're in underground again. It's underground, so mostly black people. I think there's like maybe one white person that was there to take pictures, maybe two. So we're taking pictures, and so I thought about how most of these press outlets, there's a lot more diversity. Where it's not diverse, photographers. I've been watching this quietly, and I know Phenom will probably talk to you about this. When you go to these cons, it's mostly white. I would even say white, mostly. First of all, it's mostly men. Very rarely do I see women. I know Phenom has struck up a conversation with a woman. I think it was in San Diego, or might have been New York, because then she came up to San Diego, and he hooked up with her then too to get more information. But it's mostly men. It's mostly white men. Very rarely do I see anybody black taking pictures. All right, so Phenom is usually the only black photographer in the room. I actually think that helps. Just like it helps when we had black women, we had Shanna helping us at San Diego. I think it really does help. So when the cast of Underground comes in, Phenom's on one side, and I pull out my camera to take pictures too, because I'm like, listen, I didn't think we could do video, or do interviews, so I'm gonna just take pictures too and work on my picture taking. So we're there, and they have an official photographer from WGN who's basically being an asshole, trying to. I'm like, Phenom will say this. He doesn't understand why they didn't have him take pictures off on his own, because like, you're the official photographer, you can take pictures anytime. So what we realized was the cast. I think when you have other black casts and actors and actresses out here, I think they really do appreciate when they see other people of color. Whether it's when it's at the table asking questions, or in an interview, or doing photos, they notice. And it was so funny. I'm trying to take a picture. I think it was Chris Chalk was up, right? And I had two photographers on either side of me. I had my camera up, and I don't like yelling at the town. Look at me, look at me. I don't like looking at it, because they're usually trained, and most of them will look at each photographer anyway to get a picture or two off anyway. So I'm just going to stand there. I'll get the picture, and it's fine. I'm just working on my picture taking anyway. I'm not going to really use these. I'm going to use Phenom's. Right. So I'm standing there, and the two guys on either look this way, and they're yelling at him. He looks at me, I look at him, and we just lock eyes. And the entire time, he just looks at me as I take pictures.
That happened to me. Like, not even the look at me part, but like in the Underground thing, they said, "Oh yeah, you can't take pictures." I surely took out my camera and took pictures, and like the cast, the very black cast, just looked at me and was just like, "All right, girl." Like, they didn't say anything.
Right. So like, he looks at me, and then I take my pictures. I give him a head nod. The other two guys are still looking to try to get their pictures taken. He smirks and then walks off. Like, it was great. I think the same thing happened to Phenom when I'll have to get him on to tell the story, or he might tell the story on his show where he took pictures. I wasn't there when he took pictures at the for Doctor Who, and I don't know her name, but the woman who plays the new Black Companion was there, and apparently she kept turning every time Phenom would take a picture on Flash. She would turn to pose for him and nobody else.
That's very true. Yeah, he definitely told me that story, and I was like, that sounds about right.
But I mean, it's because it's like photographers are so fucking rude. They are. I mean, they are some assholes, and it's one of the things is one, hey, I'm black, they black, we're gonna have a connection anyway. Two, we're not being assholes. You know, Phenom will say thank you, we'll acknowledge them, we'll say how you doing. It's like, don't be an asshole. They'll give you the picture you want, you know? And so that's how Phenom gets a lot of his pictures. I was able to get some of those pictures. It was great. I love having those black ass moments whenever you get cast. And again, even at the table sometimes, like I was in The Expanse, and what's her, Dominique Tipper, I believe is her name. She plays Naomi on the show. And I don't know, you just when they see that there's another black person in the room asking questions, you can just tell they're happy. They are, and I think that's important. It makes me feel good. So, yeah, that was New York Comic Con for you guys. So,
yep.
So, nothing else happened. We'll wrap the show up now and call it. Right. We'll just end it right here because it's not like anything. All right, so.
The world has gone to hell in a handbasket, and I'm tired. I'm tired of coming on this damn show, and this happens every time. Like, this is the third time in a row that things have gone awry, like right before I get on the show.
All right, let's start. Let's start with the first thing. Let's not even get into the Trump shit. Yeah, we'll ease into that because it's all kind of related. So Black feminists are the reason why Birth of a Nation apparently didn't do too well, which I don't think that even really mattered. It did 7 million, so it's not like it's that bad. It got bought for 17 million, so if it did 7 million in a weekend, it's not that bad. But apparently Black feminists are the reason why Nate Parker's Birth of the Nation didn't do better at the box office, even though about 70% of the audience was black women, and it had nothing to do with Nate Parker's horrible PR and press tour.
Here's my question, because I was in a business school for undergrad. I was like, is there like, how do you count black feminists? Because there are some women who are black who consider themselves feminists. Do you count black womanists? Because there are some women who consider themselves womanists and not feminists for legitimate, valid reasons. There are some black women who consider themselves feminists, but they would never categorize themselves as feminists. Like, how do you count that sample size? Like, how do you rally up that number?
Well, see, first you take all of the cocoa butter and shea butter that's available at a store. You multiply that times pettiness and shade. Then divide. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Divide that by breaking up the nuclear black family, and then that's what you get.
Yeah.
When you get
this
is so ridiculous.
Sprinkle in some Negro bed winches, and
Oh my god! Yeah, first of all, let me just start by saying, Roland Martin looks like the Hamburglar from the McDonald's cartoons. Let me just start by that.
That is an insult to Hamburglar. You will not do that to that man. He did not.
Didn't the Hamburglar wear ascots too?
I think he did.
I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back.
How you wear an ascot with no neck?
Like, how is that possible?
That's more like
Zeno can go somewhere.
That's a chin scarf. That's not even an ascot anymore. It's a chin scarf. You have no neck, man.
This Fred from Scooby Doo head ass nigga. Right. Like, I hate him so much.
Well, this is what
I hate him so much.
Well, this is like when a couple weeks ago I had said on, like, he had done something. He had a really good article or a really good interview or something like that dealing with something about racism and Black Lives Matter, stuff like that. And I was just like, and people were cheering. I was like, yeah, but you guys do realize he's terrible when it comes to black women. Like,
so listen, a clock is broke. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, it's just, this is my problem with some of these black men. It's like, you're so good and you get it when it comes to racism and Donald Trump and all of this, but then when it comes to black women and black feminism and this kind of stuff, you literally stick your head up your ass. And when you have no neck, that is already an amazing feat to stick your head up your own ass. Like, I don't understand how that fucking works.
But it's not your neck that's reaching.
Right. It's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, what the fuck?
Oh,
like, Jesus. I mean, I brought this up a couple weeks ago when he had done this. Cause I was having a conversation with some people on Facebook about this, and I'm like, there's a trolling that we as black men say. I know I'm going to say we because even though I don't do this anymore, I'm pretty sure back in my past I used to do this before I became woke. And I'm going to have another conversation about this later on about how, listen, even the most woke of us probably weren't woke 4 to 8 years ago. So you need to get off their fucking moral soapboxes, some of you motherfuckers who act like you are fucking Mother Teresa, and even Mother Teresa has a fucked up past if you really look into it. But anyway, there's this thing that we men do where we know we're wrong and we get really petty and we do these things to set them off. So a couple weeks ago, and what happens is people will go, well, I don't understand why people are mad at Roland Martin. And I'm like, well, let me break it down for you. A couple weeks ago, Roland Martin had an interview on his show. I'm going to see if I can find, I might even played it on here. And it's basically where Roland Martin brought on 2 other men and 1 woman. No, 2 women to talk about this. And they were talking about how, well, you know, it's a peculiar time and they don't really want you to see. The women weren't saying this, but the men were. And the men kept repeatedly, talking over the women, ignoring their points, and not listening. And I was just like, this is the problem with Roland Martin. He repeatedly does this. Fast forward 2 weeks ago, this week. He does this thing where he says, he's like, well, let's talk about how it's wrong for some of these people that call themselves Black Feminists to not go and watch The Birth of a Nation because of Nate Parker's white wife. Record scratch. What the fuck? Excuse me?
Nobody said this.
Oh, look, I won't say nobody because I believe this has happened like 3-4 months ago. Like, it came out that he had a wife, and there was like 5 women, if that, on Twitter. And what happens is you take those 5 women, and that 5 women then becomes 5 million all of a sudden because that's what assholes do. But it was handled then. Roland Martin, after every other attempt he had done to try to blame black women for not supporting Nate Parker, he then goes this route and then goes, I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Here's the kicker. He also brought up Mike Coulter from Luke Cage, which we were like, where did he come into this conference?
So,
is Mike Coulter a rapist and we didn't know?
Do you want to know where that came from?
About?
You want to know where that came from? That came from Charlemagne, who, I'm sorry, if you listen to the Breakfast Club and you listen to Charlemagne and them, you are part of the fucking problem because Charlemagne is problematic as fuck. He brought that up to Mike Coulter during the when Coulter's making a press round for Luke Cage. Coulter didn't bring that up. Charlemagne and them did. And I'm just like,
okay, I got
so,
you.
And again, that was handled then. And again, I gotta say, black women were the big people pushing half the shit. Like,
April Rain brought this up, and she made a great point. And as someone who podcasts for Black Girl Nerds, this is very true. Black Girl Nerds was one of the largest pushers of Luke Cage. We did a live tweet with Geeks of Color. With Geeks of Color, it was trending after it dropped. Like, we made the hashtag Sweet Christmas. They use it on the Luke Cage official Marvel website. Like, it's run by black women. So how does that work? Additionally, somebody brought up too, a lot of the people who were doing the initial marketing for Birth of a Nation before all the press and the downhill spiral that was Nate Parker and his interviews were happening were primarily black women. But, facts don't matter.
If I remember correctly, I think Feminista Jones
was one of them.
Yeah, it was. I think they were I Stand with
Nat.
Nat. Yeah, they were going to, and this is before like the allegations really, something like that. And that they were going to do that whole thing. And I think they eventually broke down what happened with that and how they were basically kind of ignored. And, it's one of those weird things when, especially when you're a black man, our biggest supporters are almost always going to be black women.
Like, I get very upset because I would maybe understand your argument if you were basing it off of real actual facts, but you're not. So, like,
it's always anecdotal evidence. It's like it's never. It's like, well, here's 5 women that fit my stereotype view of this, so I'm gonna use them and slander all of black feminists.
But not even that. Like, women who consider themselves black women who consider themselves feminists were the ones who drove these artistic mediums in the forefront in the first place. So I'm really confused as to where you're coming from that we didn't support it, especially on the Luke Cage part. The Luke Cage part was absolutely, positively unfactual, especially on that one. Because I was just sitting here like, girl, what? Like, we don't care. Also, if you read the comic books, Luke Cage, the character, has a white wife, Jessica Jones, and nobody cares. Like, and we watch Jessica Jones too. Like, I'm so confused. So, but going back to Nate Parker and Birth of a Nation, I'm always confused because, and somebody made up this great point, the men who spent all these times arguing on Twitter and Facebook too, because you gotta loop Facebook into this one, arguing about how people are just trying to tear him down. Did y'all see the movie?
That's my point.
Because 7 million, and people were saying that's what they projected. That's fine. But I do also think that they're not including the marketing budget, which was pretty substantial. They did a lot of marketing. Like, out of black films that are coming out this year, I think it had the most amount of visibility.
It had an HBO special. It had an HBO special that came out for it was like either a 30-minute or hour-long HBO special. That, what do you mean?
Yeah, if you include, so yes, even though the studio predicted them making about 7 and 9 million and they were on the latter half, like 7.1, if you include the marketing budget, yes, by definition, I can see it being a flop. But it is on par for, like, a lot of these movies, especially when they do a slave narrative, don't make that much money. 12 Years a Slave didn't make that much money. And black movies, in general, are having a harder time. Like, Queen and Catway has been out for longer, and it's only hit, like, 5.5 to 6 million, I think. Mm-hmm. Southside with You came and went. Nobody watched that, unfortunately. It didn't make that much money either. And that's my thing. It's like, how, and here's another thing that blew mine. Like, people were arguing, like, well, if you're so concerned about Birth of a Nation, there's so many other black films that are coming out that might tickle your fancy. This is not the only one. This is not the Tyler Perry in the film world. Like, we have other options if you don't want to see that movie. How many of y'all saw Queen of Catway, which is an all-black cast? And people were saying, well, it's not a black film because it didn't have a black director.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck. Are you serious?
I was like, first of all, the director is Indian, I believe.
Right, she is.
Indian woman.
And
She's an Indian woman.
And it's literally when I say it's literally an all black cast, like
it's all black. I saw the movie. It's an all black. It's a great film too.
Not just all black, almost all African cast, which is unheard of. That got Disney backing.
I saw people arguing that it's not a black film because it didn't have a black director. I saw people arguing that, well, it's not telling the black experience, telling the African experience. I'm like,
oh my God.
But aren't we all a part of the African diaspora? So wouldn't that story, wouldn't you want to see that story too?
Are these the same Hotep motherfuckers that always talk about Egypt this, Egypt that? Talking about but it doesn't tell the African American story? Motherfucker, this is Egypt, and you over here wearing unks and all this other bullshit. The fuck you talking about, man?
It doesn't make no sense. So that's when I knew I was talking to idiots, and I was not gonna waste my time. So let me tell you this. Hidden Figures is supposed to be coming out on Christmas Day. Moonlight's supposed to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, which y'all probably won't see even though it has a black writer and a black director because it has to deal with a boy coming into his homosexuality. You probably won't watch that.
Nope, they won't watch that because homosexuality.
And it also has Mahershala Ali in the movie who was in Luke Cage, but y'all probably won't see that. But all right, I'm going to go see it. Southside with You came and went. Queen of Catway is still in the theaters. You should go see that movie. Hidden Figures is coming out. You should see that movie. Like 13, which is not getting as much buzz as I thought it would. If you want to talk about the truth of black people, 13th is talking about the slavery to prison pipeline. And it was done by Ava DuVernay. You should go see that on Netflix. You don't even have to go to the theater. Y'all folks already have Netflix and you steal it from your mama, so you might as well go see it there and watch it by Ava DuVernay, who is a black person, since that's goes against your goalposts. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of arguing what I decide to choose or not to choose, and I'm tired of my decisions being based off the backs of the whole black community. Fuck y'all, quite frankly. Like, If I don't want to see Birth of a Nation, I'm not going to see Birth of a Nation. Even if my reasoning for it is completely head-ass, I have that right to not see it. If you think this is such an important film, get you and your ashy cousins to go see it. But don't bother me.
Here's the first thing. I'm going to be honest here. All right? I'm not really big into slave movies. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not.
And that's another thing. People are ignoring that part, too. Like, they're talking about Black Feminists' fault, but I was like, a lot of people were not going to see the movie in the first place because it was a slave film.
And I totally get that it's a Nate Parker film. It's a Nat Turner film, and it's not really the typical slave narrative, although from reading reviews of it, it seems like it did delve into basically the typical slave narrative. But here's the thing, I'm not, like, I remember when we had this conversation, I don't know if I had it with him, but I remember Rod making the point about we don't have enough slave movies, and I got that point, right? But when I hear that, I agree with it. But my thing is, it's not for me. Because as a black person, I know about slavery. I remember slavery. I'm a victim of, I'm a direct descendant of slaves. Like, slave movies aren't for me. I don't need them. I don't need my story told so I know my story. I already know my fucking history. And if you're a black person and don't know your fucking history, a movie ain't gonna help you. You need to go out to go talk to your grandma, go talk to your grandfather, go talk to your great aunts, your great uncles, or something like that, and find out about your history that way. You're not gonna find out about watching a fucking 2-hour fucking movie. All right, these movies are basically need to be made so I'll be honest, so white people don't forget.
Also, I think you, as somebody who is a part of that community, both of us, whose history is pretty much robbed for us, you got to give those people the opportunity to choose what aspect of the history they want to learn. Mm-hmm. Some people, like my parents, are now really big on learning all the way back from Africa and back and stuff like that. That's never been my interest. I'm really interested in learning how the effects of slavery affect our daily policies and law right now. So Ava DuVernay's 13th would be of an interest to me, and I'm planning to watch it this weekend. Like, that's something that I would be interested in because it's a direct cause of slavery, but it's talking about current modern day and how there is a lot of hidden information and agendas behind the scenes that people who are modern day black folk today are affected by. I've always been interested in that. Also, there's a good book that I'm planning to read about how slavery carved and created pretty much the foundations of modern day capitalism. That's stuff that I can tie back to today, and I can make the correlation. But that's the aspect of our history that I am more interested in. I really know, and no disrespect to people who are from Africa directly, but I don't have an interest of going all the way doing the lineage from Africa. I know I know who I am, I know where I've placed, and I know my history in terms of, obviously, the transatlantic slave trade is the reason why my family is here, but I care more about how the, like, post-slavery going on, how that has been effect in terms of our policies and laws today. But that's my decision, and I'm tired of personally, not even black feminists, black women in general, we do so much and we wear ourselves so much thin to support everyone, and we don't get the credit and we don't get the acknowledgement for it. We still got people don't give April Reign her credit for Oscar So White. And today, don't give her the acknowledgement of how much her quote unquote little hashtag literally changed the structure of how Oscars operate and how they vote. That is a big deal. There are people that we love that are black and people of color, actors and actresses that are now in the Academy, and they directly have to thank April Reign for that. And she does not get her just due. That is one of many examples of black women who put in the groundwork. We have always laid and sowed the foundation of any type of activism or civil rights or social activism that we've done, whether it be on a Twitter platform or before. And I'm tired of us having to make decisions that physically could hurt us. Like, nobody thinks about people who are rape survivors. I am fortunately not a rape survivor. But there are women who are rape survivors who feel uncomfortable, and not even because of the Nate Parker part, because there's 2 rape scenes in the movie. Right. Maybe they don't want to see that. Right. Nobody thinks about these things. Like, you cannot. It's so extremely ungrateful and super selfish to ask these things of people. And the fact that I can't make decisions for myself and I have to do it for the black community when you don't do it for us, when Corin Gaines got shot, a lot of y'all Ashley Negroes were like, oh, well, she had a gun, so she deserved it. Where were y'all?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
where were y'all?
Absolutely. I mean, we don't give, there's all kinds of reasons not to go see a slave movie. Like I said, I wasn't going to go see it. You know, I was like, hey, well, you know, hey, it's Nate Parker. You know the real reason why I was going to go see this movie? And I was excited for this movie? I was throwing it into the Black History season aspect of it, and I just wanted to see white tears. I wanted to see Nat Turner kill a bunch of white people, and it would have made white people uncomfortable, and I'm here for that. You know, people of color have to be uncomfortable all the time when watching shit. I'm down for watching a slave movie where white people get uncomfortable. So, but that was my only reason. So once Nate Parker started going out here having really bad PR and being a rapist, my connection to this movie literally disappeared.
Here's the funny part. Black women were trying to get him together. Like, they really was like, hey.
He turned down Oprah. Who turns down Oprah?
I will help you. Like, what do you need me to do? I'll put you in contact with Gail. She can do an interview. No. And you know what I'm super offended by? Is that when he went on primarily Black women targeted sites, he was remorseful. But when he went in on normal interviews like a Steve Harvey, all that remorse quickly dried up. Because that Ebony interview, when he's getting confronted by Black women, it's, I want to be a mantle for dispelling like toxic masculinity and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then you have a 60 Minutes interview and a Steve Harvey interview, and you completely do a 180. And I'm so confused.
Yeah, like the final straw. I mean, we had already decided we weren't going to see it when because we literally, it was like a Friday, and Phenom and I had to make a decision if we were going to respond, if I was going to respond back to this RSVP and go to the screener that next Monday. When all of a sudden the clip of the Anderson Cooper interview where he said he doesn't feel guilty, and I was like, oh, I'm out. I'm done. He can't even answer a simple, easy alley-oop of a PR question correctly. So I'd already been like, no. Then I hear what happened like that Monday with Robin Roberts, and I'm like, you fucking idiot. You went on a show, you get interviewed by a Black woman, and you get dismissive when asked about something that you know you're going to be asked about. Why even do the interview? And I was like, that's the real Nate Parker. Like, people were asking me why when he did his Facebook post, I was like, I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. And people were already like, well, I forgive him. I just, I'm like, no. Because it's easy to make to write out an apology. I need to see his eyes. I need to see him actually show that he's remorseful. Anybody can write that statement out there, and that's what Zach. And you know what you see is what we saw was that's what happened. His PR people wrote the response for him. Even the Ebony interview was very. He thought that was going to be enough. He thought once he did the Ebony interview, all right, cool, Black woman will see it. I'll be back on it. It'll be okay. And people were like, well, no, you're still going to get asked. And he was incensed. He was just the way most men are when they get questioned by women. When, again, this is why I said this is a good segue into this. We're not going to get to it right now. But Trump, same thing's going on with Trump. The minute that he gets asked, particularly by women, what's going on, his ego and arrogance comes out. And any form of remorse you think is going to be there disappears because the real person comes out. And that's what happened with Nate Parker. That's why I said, fuck him. Fuck him. I'm sorry. I can't go with this. All right. So, there's two things. I don't want to talk more about Nate himself because he fucked up on this. Mm-hmm. I want to talk more about the disappointment I have in Black men who are just not understanding this. So, Big Boy tweeted this out. He has since deleted it, but it was like, it's not an issue when he did, why people have an issue with, he said it wasn't an issue. His rape wasn't an issue when he did Red Tails, Nonstop, Beyond the Lights, or the birth, or the Great Debaters. But Birth of a Nation? ? All right. So he since deleted this because he got dragged. But there are a lot of people that believe this. All right.
I didn't know he was in the Great Debaters.
Well, that's what I'm about to say. So here's the thing: a lot of these people who say this shit, before this year, before the Birth of a Nation, you did not know who Nate Parker was.
I actually saw Beyond the Lights when Birth of a Nation, the buzz came out. I watched it
Yeah.
Once I found out, I was like, oh.
Well, here's the thing.
I Googled him and it was like, oh, he's in Beyond the Lights. Let me watch it. Like, I never saw it before.
So out of these 4 movies, Beyond the Lights, I believe, is the best one. I remember we did not go to, nobody went to go see the Beyond the Lights because it looked like a typical, like, Tyler Perry type movie. And so nobody did. But it turns out people were like, no, the trailers were really bad. It's a great movie. I can't remember the woman who's in his name, but I think she even won an Oscar or got nominated for her role in this. Like, it was an actual good movie, but here's the thing.
That's Gugu Mbatha Raw, who's supposed to be in the next Star Wars movie, by the way. Not Rogue One and the other one.
Yes. Nobody went to see this movie. It wasn't because of they boycotted, just nobody went to see it. Like, I think it did worse numbers this first weekend than Birth of a Nation did. So,
which was a black love story, so they should have supported it then too.
So already you're bullshitting because you didn't go to see the Beyond the Lights either, because nobody did. All right. Red Tails sucked. I like to forget Red Tails, but Red Tails sucked. It made
I've never seen
money.
Red Tails in my life.
You do not want to see Red Tails. Red Tails is a terrible movie. And here's the thing: nobody boycotted that movie then, because again, nobody went to go see it because of Nate Parker. People went to go see it because it was. Nobody even knew who Nate Parker was. People didn't even know he was in the movie. All right? The Great Debaters, that is a Denzel Washington movie, not a Nate Parker movie. Nobody knew Nate Parker was in the fucking movie. Stop it. You didn't know who he was there, so that's why it didn't come up then. Nonstop. Nonstop isn't even a black movie. This is a Liam Neeson movie. It's basically taken in the fucking air. The only reason why people went to go see this, and they didn't really go to see it because I don't think it made a lot of fucking money, it's Liam Neeson. Nobody knew. It grossed $10 million opening day. $28 million in the weekend. That's it. This is not some big blockbuster movie that made a shit ton of money. All right? Like, come on.
Can I say, I've never heard of Nonstop until you just brought it up right now.
I only know because of Liam Neeson.
I've never seen Red Tails. Ever. And as I mentioned also, Great Debaters, I didn't even know he was in the film until I Googled him after Birth of a Nation came out.
That's what people were doing. People were basically going to his IMDb page, pulling out random movies and going, but you guys didn't boycott this? You didn't even go to see that fucking movie either.
I saw Great Debaters. I did not know who he was.
Nobody knew who he was.
I didn't know that he was in Great Debaters, and I saw Great Debaters in the theater. I did not know he was in Great Debaters until I looked up after Sundance gave him a rave review about Birth of a Nation. And then from there, I was like, oh, I didn't know he was a Great Debaters. And I was like, oh, what's Beyond the Lights? Like, that was literally the same day, and I watched Beyond the Lights.
Nate Parker has literally floated under the radar for the longest time.
He's not even like...
He's not a recognizable name.
He's not even a B-list celebrity, dog.
Right,
like,
he's not. I remember when we were talking about, it was a while ago, it was like myself, Jay, I think Tim was a bunch of us talking about who we would cast for like something like Jon Stewart in a Justice League movie for it to be Green Lantern. And Nate Parker's name came up and was like, oh, wow, you know what? He is a young guy, young undercutter actor. Yeah, you can do this. But that's it. Like, since then, like, I believe Michael B. Jordan is also in Red Tails. He's had the bigger, more recognizable career since then. Not Nate Parker.
Well, I never saw Red Tails, so I don't know.
Right. I think he's in Red for like...
You know why I didn't see Red Tails? Because Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it. And I saw I think I saw like a magazine that had the promotion. I was like, no. Because I don't like Cuba Gooding Jr.
You made the right choice. You made the right decision. But, like, I mean, just... He's not a household name before then. He became a household name because he took some time off. He made The Birth of a Nation, and it got this standing ovation at Sundance, which is beginning to look like white people just patted themselves on the fucking back and on the black. And it sold. Fox Searchlight bought it for $17.5 million. That's when Nate Parker became a recognizable name. Before then, most of you motherfuckers going, you never boycott another movie by Nate Parker, because nobody knew. Nobody went to a movie because it was Nate Parker.
Here's the funny part. What I've noticed in terms of people who are really lying to themselves. Somebody caught somebody on Twitter talking about how, like, yo, you should support Birth of a Nation. It's a black film. And they also found a tweet later talking about how I've never seen Red Tails. So it's like, y'all are lying to yourselves. Y'all, there's a lot of black films that we should go see that that we don't watch. Like, based off that definition on how some of you black men have been talking, then we should all go corral together and go see Tyler Perry and Kevin Hart movies.
Right.
It's a black director, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. Why can't we go do that? Why can't we do that?
Because we can choose what black movies we want to see. How many of y'all saw Best Man and Best Man Holiday? Like, these are my things. Like, I have questions. Like, not, like, yes, these are black films. Absolutely. We need to support, like, movies. But we, thank God, are now moving into an area where all of the TV that we watch and all of the film that we watch, there's not just one black show. There's not just one black movie. We have variation right now.
Dope only made $18 million.
Like, I don't have to shit on Tyler Perry movies because, hey, guess what? He's making his money. That's great. There's a bevy of other black films I can watch.
Selma only made $67 million. Like, I'm tired of hearing this. Like, stop blaming black people for not, like, did you go see these other movies? Did you go see, like you said, did you go? Queen of Catway is one of the best movies of this year. Best reviewed, best put together. It's a great movie. It's based off a true story.
But there is not a white, and if you want to argue with it, Birth of a Nation got, from my understanding, a sizable amount of white people. Understandably, because it's a slave movie. But Queen of Catway has 0.
Well, I wouldn't say 0. There is a time they go to Russia. But then I don't think they speak. I don't think it has any white people that have speaking roles, which is it's amazing.
There are no white people that have speaking roles. Which is absolutely accurate.
Which is amazing. All right, you have a film that made by Disney that does not have a speaking role.
When Phenom said there was more white snow than there were white people in Queen of Catway, that is accurate.
It is very accurate.
I saw the. I went to. I walked over. I went to the Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem. I walked over there, and I surely went to go see that movie.
Yeah.
By myself, because I was like, I'm gonna support Lupita and David Oyelowo. And I think I pronounced his name right. Here's another kicker. Yes. If you're gonna talk about white wives and like, oh, we supported Selma. David Oyelowo has a white wife too.
Yeah, nobody remembers that.
But nobody cares about that because facts don't matter.
Yeah. So, the next thing I want to say is I have this one coming out. Stop calling Nate Parker a rapist. This is from the Washington Post. Somebody wrote this. And I said, okay, that's fair because I think his boy he was acquitted. His boy had his conviction overturned. Fine. Right. I will stop calling Nate Parker a rapist. I also will not call R. Kelly a rapist because he was found not guilty. I won't call George Zimmerman a murderer. I will not call Darren Wilson a murderer. Daniel Padillo, the officer who killed Eric Garner, I'm gonna say he wasn't a murderer either. The officers who were involved in the murder of and the death of the incident with Freddie Gray, I guess they are not murderers either. Yeah, do you see how this fucking works? Like,
yeah.
When a person with privilege and power isn't convicted by the justice system, that doesn't mean justice was served. That does not mean that, and we know that. I think a lot of people are getting caught up. Like, the thing that makes me so disgusted with this is people turn this into a white-black thing where, oh, well, it was a white woman who accused him, and he's black, so therefore it couldn't have happened. I totally understand the historical nature of white women falsely accusing black men. It does happen. But here's the thing. You cannot give cover to black men when white women accuse them of rape, particularly when there's overwhelming evidence. At no point...
Here's the funny part. Like, and people hide under their excuse, but the gag is, if it was a black victim, they still wouldn't care either.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you would still say the same... Because it's the same thing that happened with Cosby, right? When they were like, oh, it's just white women. It's like, well, they're also black women. Who? What? We don't...
Right.
No, it's just... Like, they completely erase the black victims of Cosby, right? Completely erase them and go, it's just white women. I'm like, but it's not just white women. There are black women, too, that accuse him. And in this case, you have his own words. There is no doubt that he did have sexual intercourse with this woman. There's no doubt that, I think it was Gene, I can't remember his last name, had sex with this woman. They had sex with this woman. Where the court system says it was not rape is they claim it was consensual, even though when you read that phone transcript, it doesn't sound like it's consensual sex. It really does not. It sounds like she did not want that. And the court basically used the fact that they had a previous sexual relationship to say that, well, you know, it wasn't rape, which is not true. That is not how rape works. That is not how consent works. And that and this is something that we've seen throughout the course of our justice system when it comes to rape and rape victims. That is just, that's rape culture. Like, you can't do that. That's not, consent has to be given each time. If I have sex with somebody, I can't use, like, it doesn't carry over. These aren't carryover minutes from your goddamn phone carrier, all right? You don't go, well, you know, she gave me consent 2 other times, but I didn't use them, so I'm gonna call in my consent card now. Like, that's not how that fucking shit works. It's not. And this is gonna lead us into the Donald Trump thing. I'm really having a big problem for people not understanding that back in 1999, we're still not where we need to be at when it comes to sexual assault victims and women and rape. We are not. We still have, there's more information out there. People are more vocal about it. People are stand up against it. We are still not where we need to be at. 1999 was even worse. I know, I was going into college. All right. We didn't know what we know now. A lot of us were terrible. The media was terrible. The justice system was even worse. All right, so you can't go, well, you know, they you know, he went to trial and that was it. We know how we know how judges look at this stuff back then. Like, come on, I just, it just really pisses me off when I hear people try to say this. Like, listen, if you want to go watch The Birth of a Nation, go to watch it. You might find it a very good movie. Good for you. But don't blame black people for not supporting their own. Like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Luke Cage trended as soon as it dropped. It was like the number 5 show ever for Netflix. Queen Sugar, Atlanta are on TV right now, getting rave reviews. Mostly black people.
HBO by Issa Rae is they dropped their first episode. They'll keep going. Like, they're so Blackish is still on TV, still doing well.
How
like,
many seasons
so
of Blackish? How many shows is Blackish? How many seasons is Blackish in now? Like,
this is the 3rd season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just like, when people go, we don't support our own. This is where I push back and go, no. Just because people decided not to support Nate Parker in The Birth of a Nation does not mean you cannot make a larger statement on what black people support with their money. People,
or how about this? There's scandal in How to Get Away with Murder. Whether or not you like the shows or not, they are helmed and written by black women.
I mean, like, these are supported and loved, and lots of them go into deep, you know, black issues. So, like, get off your fucking high horse. This is fucking ridiculous to me. Like, it really just pisses me off when I see people sit there and go, well, you know, we got to support our own and we got to do this. I'm like, no. One thing I'll say on this, and I've said this on Twitter several times, because people will go, well, you know, the timing of this is just odd, and this is how they start sounding like Trump supporters. I need you to understand that Nate Parker, beyond the fact that people might not have wanted to go see a slave movie or a movie with slave themes in it, all right? There's that happens. Nate Parker's way of handling this was
abysmal.
And it's all on him. It was the dumbest thing you could ever fucking do. I talked about this with Bossy when she was on. It's like that's all on Nate Parker for not listening to what his PRP wanted to do. I'll give you a perfect example. When I believe it's 2014, right before X-Men Days of Future Past came out, there were allegations of child abuse and child rape lobbied against director Bryan Singer. The reason why you might not have remembered that or heard that is because Bryan Singer stopped doing press. There was even articles about how, let me see if I can find it. It was articles about how Bryan Singer, Fox removed Bryan Singer from the press schedule. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, he did a couple things. He did one to. He spoke out against it at one point, called them outrageous, and then then there was an article in April in the Daily Mail. X-Men director Bryan Singer to drop out of all movie press-related junkets amid sex assault controversy. Singer has announced he will not attend fan conventions or any other previously scheduled events. That is what Bryan Singer did. You know what happened in Days of Future Past? People forgot about the story. There was no story to write because Bryan Singer wasn't there to give any more information. So Days of Future Past went out there to make $700 million. Now, granted, because of what the movie was, it probably still would have made money, even if he had some stumbles in press. But that is what he did. He didn't do press. He dropped out of them. Nate Parker did the exact opposite. He went out there and was, I'm going to challenge this stuff, and made it worse.
He did.
Up until the week the movie was coming out. He put the nail in his own coffin. All right? And this is not a black and white thing. Listen, people forget Mel Gibson Apocalypto. Apocalypto flopped after his I think this was before the Pack of Niggers and the greatest, the Mel Back Music mixtapes he dropped when his girlfriend was taping him.
Mel Back Music?
Yeah, we called it Mel. Oh yeah, we had a whole bunch of shows we called it Mel Back Music. It was dropping like every other week. Every other week there was another tape dropping, yo. Yeah.
That is funny.
But yeah, this is back when he made the anti-Semitic comments when he was pulled over, like right after, I think, Passion of the Christ. What you might not know, and there's an article that came out this week about it. Mel Gibson became untouchable in Hollywood. Like, yeah, he's been in movies since then, but he's basically been in stereotypical roles and being a bad guy. Like, he wasn't like brought in to be the big star he was. Like, he didn't get a cameo in that Mad Max Fury Road thing. They didn't touch him. Hollywood didn't touch him. He finally has a movie coming out next week, I think. We got a screener for it. And it's Hacksaw Ridge? And we might go do the screener for it, right? I'll remind people of Mel Gibson's bullshit. But you know what you haven't seen? You haven't seen Mel Gibson doing a lot of press for it. Why? Because he knows what the problem is. And so he kept his head down. And then he's reappeared now with this new movie, hoping that he can make an Oscar run and hoping the rest of Hollywood forgive him. Because that is what Hollywood does. Hollywood doesn't give a fuck if you play by their rules. And so Nate Parker wasn't shunned for his rape allegations, stuff like that. Even now, I guarantee you, if Nate Parker does it, he's not untouchable. He didn't do what sadly to say this, he didn't do what Mel Gibson did, which is literally just be a complete fuckhead. Nate Parker is surrounded by other rapists in Hollywood. He'll be fine. All he had to do was stop talking, like so many other people before him have done. Stop talking. Refer to your lawyer. Don't answer questions. Pull yourself out of press. Nate Parker didn't do that shit. And again, I'm not saying that if he had done that, I would have gone to see the movie and it would have been fine and I would have forgiven him. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying what he should have done, he could have done, because what other people do. Because everybody always brings up these other people. Well, what about, Mel Gibson did this and didn't. No, Mel Gibson became untouchable. He did some movies, but he never had the Mel Gibson was trying to become the new Clint Eastwood when it comes to being directors.
Yep.
That didn't happen after that shit. Nobody wanted to touch anything that Mel Gibson did. They put him in a movie, they give him a cameo, but he wasn't going to be able to make another movie. This is his first time doing it. It's like 10 years fucking later, he's able to finally make another movie now. People bring up Woody Allen and Roman Polanski. Here's the thing. Ask me when the last time I went to go see a Woody Allen movie or a Roman Polanski movie.
That's very accurate.
People will say this shit, and you got to ask them. Your comeback answer should be, well, when's the last Roman Polanski movie you saw? When's the last Woody Allen movie you saw? Yeah, sure. Hey, man. Hey, people might have given it, Yeah, Woody Allen, we don't see it, but Hollywood, they give him an Oscar nomination. Same thing with Polanski. It's like, yeah, same thing might happen with Nate Parker. I fully believe that The Birth of a Nation will be nominated for something come Oscar time. It will. That does not mean that we have forgotten and that because we have nothing to do with that. We have nothing to do. We don't get the vote. All right. So I'm just saying, like, drop that bullshit. All right. These are all rich fucking men who abuse their fucking power, and they get away with it, and they'll be fucking fine. Nate Parker made his fucking money. He don't need your support or anything like that. He doesn't. Stop caping for these motherfuckers. So anyway,
I second that. Let's move into something just as terrible.
Yeah. So Tuesday, Deepam and I dropped a special post debate. It's Andy Check.
Yep.
And I thought that would cover everything, and it didn't because
ooh, no, it did not.
Donald Trump has decided to go scorch fucking earth. You guys have already heard all the shit about him. There now, I believe, I was watching AM Joy this morning. Shout out to Joy and Reed. Great show, and I love the fact that we have a black woman. I do hate the fact that they relegate all the black people to the weekend. Like I honestly think Morning Joy should take the place of Morning Joe. It would be a much better morning for me, at least, because that's her show.
You always I've noticed this. You always punish yourself by watching this. I refuse. I will say also shout out to Joyanne Reed because I definitely saw her post debate analysis, and it was the only one that was thoughtful and was factual. So thank you so much, Joyanne Reed. I'm glad that you are my namesake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I punish myself with Morning Joe because if I'm going to go to the office, then I need to be angry. So, it's my morning coffee.
I didn't even know who Morning Joe, because I don't watch this. So I didn't know or was familiar with any of this until I started listening to you. And then I would see you post clips occasionally on your Twitter account. I'm like, why is he watching this? This is terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Yeah, I need to get your mind right before you go into the office. That's just what it is.
No, I would want to kill everybody if I watched that in the morning.
Like I said, you need to get your mind right before you go into the office. Yeah, so, here's the thing. I am not even going to play, like, the Donald Trump stuff. Because we know Trump is bad. What's been getting me, and what's been driving me, is... And what's scary to me is not really Trump at this point. It's all the people that are enabling Trump and that are still backing Trump up, even though he's literally come out there and said, I mean, again, let's not mince words. He has gone out there and he has admitted to sexual assault. Grabbing women by their pussy without their consent is sexual assault. Trying to kiss up on women without their consent is sexual assault. Like, that's, I didn't think that we needed to have that conversation, but apparently we do. Because people haven't realized that that's what that is.
Here's my kicker, and I've said this before. I find it so funny that this is the hill that the media and other Republicans, this is where they want to die on. Forget Mexicans being called rapists and murderers, quote, unquote. That was actually how they started the campaign. Forget Muslims being automatically called terrorists, giving answers to people who ask about Islamophobia with Islamophobia, pretty much telling them that even if they are legal citizens, that, you and your cousins might be terrorists, so we gotta check you. Forget the fact that he said more than once that black people are all in inner cities and living in hell, specifically in Chicago. What a black on black crime. We want to bring back stop and frisk and law and order. But this in particular, though it is a legitimate concern and dead wrong, is the hill we want to die on.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. And I've seen some. You can't even say it because it's on tape, because he said all this other stuff on tape. Like, it's almost like people didn't understand that. I don't get it.
Because the common denominator in the first three that I mentioned, Chris, is they are people of color or marginalized groups.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I guess I would. Well, Deepak did make a good point about that. I was going to say he's done this to other women too. I mean, he said this about Megyn Kelly, but I guess because that's a specific woman, he could have changed his comments. But when it comes to generalization, you're right. So I don't. I guess that's how people rationalize it. So you're right. Maybe that's what it is.
We've had like the stuff. He started his campaign saying Mexicans are rapists. The ones who go over the border are rapists and murderers. Mm-hmm. That should have been it. Like, that should have been the grand opening, grand closing of his campaign. Yet multiple months later, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I got a problem with that. I specifically have a problem with white mainstream media trying to make him this very jokeable, try to find something likable about him. I got a big personal problem, and I don't care. SNL and Jimmy Fallon, I mean, Jimmy Fallon got a lot of flack on it, and granted, is very true. He does ask softball questions for everyone, and he's very jokingly and fun. But dog, your whole band is the Roots. It's black dudes. And you're going to bring him on the show, and I'm not even asking you to give you hard-hitting questions, but you're going to ruffle his hair and be cute. SNL had him as a host last year, and it did not do well. A lot of Mexican people were protesting. They still had him on as the host, and now they're trying to circle back on it and, have people come and like make jokes about him. I'm like, it's not funny. And then you have, unfortunately, you have the Weekend Update people on SNL, Michael Che and Colin Jost, one who's a black dude, pretty much being like, well, he's very hardworking and I really don't think he's a racist and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what Twilight Zone are we in? It's like,
yeah, well, I goes to another thing where I think people have a hard time admitting that people that they know or have worked with are racist. You see this a lot with white people, but I've seen this also sometimes with black people too, who get close to these white people who say and do questionable things, and I'm like, that's bullshit. I don't think I have the actual video of Jeff Sessions saying this, but I have John King, and we're starting to get some of the media finally standing up and saying anything. And I'm with you. I'm like, took way too fucking long. Like, this is, and there's still some of them are still act like theirs is, hold on.
Defending Donald Trump is taking some Republicans down a path they may regret. Take Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions. He's an Army veteran, a former federal prosecutor, former Alabama Attorney General, a law and order conservative, a devout Christian, and a former Sunday school teacher. But in an interview with the Weekly Standard, Sessions was asked about that tape where Trump brags of forcing himself on women, including grabbing what we describe to our children as private parts. Now, Trump used a different term. I won't repeat it. Here's what Sessions said of walking up to a woman and grabbing her without her consent. I don't characterize that as sexual assault. I think that's a stretch. Forget politics for a moment, Senator. Well, what about your daughters and your 7 granddaughters? Saying Trump is a better choice than Hillary Clinton? That's one thing. Saying what he described in that tape is not sexual assault? Forgive me, Senator. That's an outrage. Thanks for joining us at Inside Politics.
But that's what so many people. But that's what so many people are doing now. So many people are now. Here's Kellyanne Conway. I think she's going to do the same thing.
The term locker room talk. You had the highest-ranking woman in Congress, Republican woman, Kathy McMorris Rodgers, blowing that off and saying, no, this is suggesting sexual assault. And
that's a very unfortunate phrase, and people really should stop using that.
Why?
Because I know him better, and I know better.
But it's what he said.
He did not say the word sexual assault.
No, it's what he implied that he wanted to do.
If you want to talk about sexual assault right here in the hall, I know CNN doesn't want to interview them for whatever reason. You give Miss Universe a big platform. But we have in the hall tonight Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey and Paula Jones and Kathy Shelton, the 12-year-old rape victim, that 2 years before the rape shield laws were implemented in Arkansas, Hillary Clinton defending her 42-year-old.
So, again, Edgewater will go. I'll go into this a little bit later. She throws out a bunch of names. I think only Juanita Broderick is the one who has a legitimate rape claim against Bill Clinton. Kathleen Wiley has actually been found to have lied. Like, literally, there was like Ken Starr brought her out, was going to testify. What anybody who knows remembers this, went in there, really looked into her story, found her own family came out and was like, no, they had evidence that she was lying. All right, can't say the same about Juanita Broderick. That's fine. When this 12-year-old rape victim was like, Hillary Clinton was doing a job she was a defense lawyer, How are you bringing that all together? Like, and even the Bill Clinton with Juanita Broderick, that isn't Hillary Clinton. That's on Bill Clinton. Like, Bill Clinton's not running. It's Hillary Clinton who's running. That's not the same thing. Your candidate literally said he grabs women. You can do whatever you want to them. You can grab them by the pussy. Like, that is sexual assault. That just is. Like, there's no way around that. That's what they do. But what you're seeing is you're getting a bunch of these, like, so here goes, oh, God, I don't even know why they do this. This is Curt Schilling.
For over 30 years.
Not that. That right there is not Curt Schilling. That is an autoplay interview.
I just want to say also that you have a lot of gall to have your major defenders be women, too, for these sexual assault cases. I've noticed that a lot. Katrina Pearson and Kellyanne, I think, what's her last name?
Conway,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Conway, okay. They are the major two people that are in the forefront while you're kind of dodging those bullets, having to cover you. And there's just a new level of sliminess on top of that it's, you clearly are on wax talking about sexual assault and sexual assaulting women. Mm-hmm. And these are the people that you have sticking up for you. Mm-hmm. You got to be a new level. Like, I mean, I'm certain he's going to hell anyway, but he's getting a certain new ring of hell after that. That is ridiculous.
Here's Curt Schilling.
Baseball player and radio talk show host, Curt Schilling.
First of all, I don't understand why you bring in, I actually do know why. I was like, why do you bring on a baseball? Then I remember why, because Trump's whole locker room talk thing, which we'll get into later.
Hey, Curt, good to have you here.
Thanks, Trish. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, we'll get to the women and the allegations that have surfaced in just a minute. But first of all, tell me your thoughts on what you heard on that tape, because you're someone who obviously has spent a lot of time in locker rooms. You know what locker room talk is. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, hey, Trish, I want to back up 1 second because I've been listening, and I'm taking it that you're a conservative like I am. You for the most part.
I'm an independent, but I don't like taxes.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Go for it.
The conversation you're having about the things he said about the 10-year-old girl to me is at the very heart of why this is a problem. How many times, and I have 3 boys and a daughter. How many times have you looked at a young man and said, wow, he's a beautiful young man. Wow, he's a gorgeous young man. And that man was 12, 13, 14, 15.
I'll be honest,
or he's a beautiful...
Curt?
Yeah.
I've never
that's a lot. There's no way.
So what I love about this is she tells him he goes in, and this is what a lot of people do. He goes in making a statement saying, well, you know you've done this. And she goes, actually, Curt, I haven't done this. And then proceeds to tell her she's lying. Excuse me, what?
You haven't.
And to back you up, what they're talking about is at one point, like a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, there was a bunch of small, like 10-year-old girls going up escalators, and Trump says something to this one girl, and then turns around and says, in 10 years I'll be dating her or something like that, which is just disgusting. Because who says that about a 10-year-old? And that's what Curt Schilling is here trying to defend.
Somebody else's son and said, wow, he's beautiful. Wow, I mean,
and thought I'm going to be dating him? No.
No, but that's...
You're on your own on this one.
But, no, I'm not on my own on this one because I have boys. My youngest son is a gorgeous young man, and I've heard women say, wow, he's a beautiful young boy. To jump to the point where you're insinuating like something like pedophilia or a molestation is where you're going with this, because he's joking about, well, when she gets older, I'm going to date her. I mean, how do you get from there to being revolted and disgusted?
Yeah, I don't look at a young boy and say, in 10 years, I'm going to date him.
Well, we don't. But you don't actively look for that.
Like this is fascinating to me. He's literally explaining away pedophilia.
Really? And I'm glad that you categorize it as such, because I think oftentimes we have a lot of men who think that that's okay. And, let's not forget the whole Tiger thing when people were trying to defend him. I don't want to get into that, but there's another example where it's, these are children. We got to stop sexualizing young girls.
What drives me crazy is he says this, but then you're like, but you guys also didn't want you wanted that transgender law in North Carolina to ban transgender kids from using the correct bathroom to the bathroom they identified to, because you were afraid of this. So like, what do you want? Like, do you not like you can't, like, this is why I always get angry at the right for their moral indignation on shit like this, because I'm like, wait, you don't really care about the kids. You're using that as an excuse, but you don't really care about them. Because if you did, then you would look at what Donald Trump is doing and you would be disgusted. But you're not. You're excusing it now and saying it's okay.
I think that would be pretty sad if I did.
Well, I mean, I think it says more about you than it does about him. So you tell me you see a 10-year-old girl and think, okay, yeah, I'm going to date her in 10 years? I have a daughter. My daughter has friends. I've seen my daughter's friends. I'm a man. Wow, she's a beautiful young lady. I don't immediately jump to molesting her. But that's where the left has gotten.
Do you need to follow that up with, it's fine to say she's a beautiful young lady. You need a cute little girl. You need to follow it up with, I'm going to date her in 10 years?
Trish, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but I'm going to guess in your years of life, you've gone on and well, you know what? I probably shouldn't have added that. And I know you're not running for president.
So I'll give you that. He has a tendency to do that, Curt. A lot.
Yeah.
All right? A lot. Right. And the question that people are having, and this is his vulnerability, Curt, because this is where Hillary Clinton is able to really exploit this wedge here. Because she's saying, he says a lot of crazy stuff. Do you really want someone who says this kind of crazy stuff being the President of the United States?
Well, and I'll respond to that with this. It's a very simple answer. Do you want somebody who talks in a way that makes you uncomfortable and has said things that you think are despicable and reprehensible, which you know she had, or do you want someone that's actually done those things, what she's done, from Benghazi to Haiti to the Clinton Foundation?
I hate when they mention Haiti like they give a fuck. Like Curt Schilling doesn't give a shit about Haiti. You don't give a shit about Haiti. You don't even know what that means.
Nobody, no, like, y'all gotta stop acting like y'all care about black people and women. Like, that's really what it is. Like, I'm extremely, I don't even have words. I am extremely frustrated when we start caring about marginalized groups to win an argument, because that's what the hell people are doing. That's what they're doing. But they don't really actually care about these communities after the argument is over.
Well, it's literally the thing they complain about. They complain about Hillary Clinton with, right? Because she only used them she's just using them as a thing. She doesn't really care. But that's what you claim that Hillary Clinton is doing. So
you do the same exact thing.
Right. But actually do it. Like, people say that about Hillary, and a lot of times she actually doesn't do that. But we'll get into that later. Did you see the Ben Carson thing?
Oh,
Ben Carson was amazing.
Are you gonna play the video?
Yeah, Ben Carson was amazing on Morning Joe. So here goes Morning Joe.
Oh,
this is the only time, again, a broken clock is right twice a day. It's the only time I've ever in the last 2-3 years that I've actually been proud of Joe Scarborough. All right, now here goes Ben Carson.
And one of Donald Trump's supporters, former Republican presidential candidate, Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, always good to see you, sir. Let me ask you quickly about what Mike Pence just said on the Today Show. He said that within a matter of hours, the Trump campaign will provide evidence that shows the accused.
Just to put it out there. That was Friday. That was Friday morning. I think it was 8 o'clock. No, 7:37. It was 8:30 in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning. It is now 1:47 p.m. on Saturday. The Trump campaign still hasn't put out any evidence to refute these things. They brought out a couple of really shaky witnesses. One of them who was actually really, really shaky that says this. They put out no evidence to refute these women, though. So just wanted to throw it out there. Play, motherfucker.
Of the last few days of Donald Trump have fabricated their stories. Do you have any more insight into what that evidence may be?
No, I do not have any insight into that, although I do have common sense. And, for instance, if somebody's sitting next to you in the first class section of the airplane, there are stewardesses, there are other people around, and there's this gigantic armrest.
So, real quick, I don't know if I read it on this show, but there was an article that came out maybe 2 or so months ago that talked about sexual assault that happens on airplanes, and how the airlines don't do a good job of reporting it. It's a woman who had been assaulted by a man on a plane. She had gone to sleep and she woke up and his hands were in between her legs. She went to tell the stewardess, and they said that it didn't happen. Like, it was bad. Like, let me see if I can find that article. Like, it was, this is something that happens. Airlines. Let me see. Yeah, here it goes. There's an article. What happened when this came out in August? It's in Slate. What happens when sexual assault happens on a long haul flight? There's another one. In-flight sexual assault is soaring. The disturbing reality of sexual assault on planes. If you put this into Google, you will come up with all this stuff. I just found another one. June 20th. Man charged with sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl on flight. Surge in sexual assaults on airplanes. NBC4 in February of 2014. Alaska Airlines kicks man off for harassing flight attendant. Just saying. All right. This happens. All right. This has been happening. We've seen articles about this stuff happening. You can't sit here and go, this doesn't happen. They could just report it. We know this happens. So I just want to throw that out there now before Ben Carson goes more into his live fest right now. All right.
Happened to all those things. I really look at the way that these things have been brought up. And as you know, a week or two, I predicted that this was going to happen and that they will keep coming up with stuff to try to take your eye off the ball. The ball really is about what's happening to America. That's why 2 out of 3 Americans are concerned. And what we're engaging in is exactly what happens to pinnacle nations historically before their fall. They take their eye off the ball, start engaging in things that really don't matter that much. Not that, sexual language and abuse is not important.
You're saying that you just said it doesn't know. Like, Ben Carson does this thing where he says one thing and then his next sentence immediately refutes what he just said. You just said it's not important because you said they're taking the eye off of things that matter. I would think that, your presidential candidate sexually assaulting somebody matters. And to be fair, most of us weren't alive, weren't old enough to remember this stuff. I do remember the Bill Clinton stuff. And while I wasn't really old enough to really grasp it, I do know Republicans made a big deal out of Bill Clinton's sexual assault allegations. They did. All right? It's a big deal. Not something that was swept under the rug.
But when you're talking about the train going off the cliff, you really need to deal with that first. The other thing is done is fiscal irresponsibility.
Dr. Carson,
let me just finish these 3 points, please.
You get 2 points. I'll let you get to your second point. You got to let me respond to the first point so we can do this in a rational way. So on your first point,
notice that he was interrupted by a man, Joe Scarborough, and did not ask for his mic to be turned off. Just keep that note. Keep that note.
Going off the cliff. The character of the conductor matters, though, does it not? Nations rise and fall based on the quality of their leadership, based on the character of their leaders. Character does count, does it not?
Yes, and the conductor needs to make a decision. If there's a fight going on in the coach car and the train's going off the cliff, which one is he going to do? That's a good conductor. The second point is fiscal.
Why is this man so fucking stupid, Joy?
Oh my God. Somebody tweeted this and I agree with them. I'm extremely certain that Ben Carson did not do all those surgeries. At this point, I'm not 100% sure, man. Like, I'm not. First of all, every time he goes on some type of news, and this might be a reason why black people should do black people makeup, but like he always looks like a goddamn corpse. Like, it looks like cemetery makeup. I don't know if it's his skin or whoever's doing his makeup. He always looks like a goddamn mess when he's on camera. Then, I think it was Morning Joe, and I think you'll be going into it, when he told the girl, there's 2 people arguing with him, but he tells the woman,
it'll come up. We'll get it. We'll get it there. It's coming. Oh no, I that's why I did the early stop, because I wanted to point out that when Joe interrupts him, he does not tell him.
Listen, if Republicans can be truthers, I can be a truther. I am a Ben Carson surgery truther. You heard it here first, folks. I don't think he did all those surgeries.
I saw somebody who had made a good counterpoint to that. They said Ben Carson is actually a brilliant surgeon who did all the surgeries because he is the first surgeon to ever remove his own brain.
That might be it.
And I think that might be true. So,
I think that's it, because he is like, why you keep going on? You lost, dog, and you lost badly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So come on, play.
Responsibility. Nations, pinnacle nations, before their fall, they become fiscally irresponsible. We see that time after time. And then the third thing is they accept corruption in the highest levels as normal. Right. It seems like we've read that playbook and we're ready to go off that cliff.
But fiscally irresponsible, Donald Trump's economic program actually leads to larger debts and deficits in the future than Hillary Clinton's, does it not?
It depends on which economist you want to look at, but let's throw the economists out and let's use common sense.
Well, wait, pause it. Because I think I saw somebody saying that his debt policy will increase the debt by like $7 trillion.
Yeah, it was
like that.
Yeah, $7 trillion. Add $7 trillion over the next 10 years. Hillary Clinton's cuts it by $1.7 trillion. Cuts the deficit by 1.7. His adds $7.2 trillion to the deficit.
Like, we're not already in the hole.
But you can't. But you can't trust those numbers. So can't trust those.
Common sense. From 1850 to 2000, our economy grew at an average rate of 3.3%. Since 2000, it's grown at less than half that, for the most part. Now, they.
So you're including numbers that include Bill Clinton's economic growth. You leave out the fact that from 2000 to 2008, it was George W. Bush, and he oversaw the financial collapse at that time. But continue on, Bill Carson.
Say it's the new normal. There's nothing normal about it. What we've done is impose enormous restrictions on people with all of these regulations.
Was that you laughing, or was that somebody on the show?
That was somebody on the show. It was not me laughing.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because I couldn't remember. Because at one point, I've been watching so much of this happen. At some point, the media started realizing that the Trump supporters are so terrible, they laugh. So at this point, when Ben Carson's going on, there's literally somebody on who is mic'd up who is laughing at what Ben Carson is saying right now. And I believe it is Catty K.
And it's hilarious, but it's not hilarious.
That is not conducive to entrepreneurial risk-taking and capital investment. You know, we have historical evidence that shows what works and what doesn't. And then people say, well, when you cut taxes, when Bush cut taxes, the deficit went up. Of course it went up, because we got involved in 2 wars, which I didn't agree with.
Catty K here, you just said throw the economists out. That really smacks of something that happened during the Brexit campaign in the UK, when one of the Leave campaigners said we don't want economists.
Because they've done such a great job of helping us to get into good condition. That's why I throw them out.
It's kind of anti-elite idea that we don't want experts telling us about the economy. Since Brexit, of course, sterling has tanked, and it's been a problem for the British economy. So perhaps having experts telling us about the economy is not such a bad thing after all. I want to push you on this allegations of sexual abuse, because you seem to be suggesting this morning in this interview with your description of the first-class cabin, and in previous interviews, that these women are lying. The real reason that women who have been sexually abused don't come forward to talk about their stories is precisely this, that all too often they are accused of being liars. Are you saying that these women are lying?
That's your characterization. Because you need to characterize it that way to try to make me the bad guy. Here's the fact.
If you go back to what he said earlier, he literally suggests that because why didn't she, if it happened, why didn't she go to the stewardess? But you
Here's
said
the thing,
that.
and I don't understand how we're doing these semantics. If you believe Trump, the opposite of that is then you don't believe the accusers.
Yeah.
This is not rocket science. If you're saying I believe Trump, by that definition, you do not believe the accusers. So you think they're lying.
Basically, what's happening is they don't want to go on the record saying that these women are lying, because here's a brilliant thing that Trump has done. He's a brilliant strategist against his own campaign. He's painting them into the corner because, remember on Sunday, he brought out Bill Clinton's accusers and said, you should believe these women, and they'll tell you that Hillary Clinton will tell you that they're lying. So now that he has his own accusers, his surrogates can't go out there and say these women are lying, because it undercuts, the message that Trump was trying to send on Sunday. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to skirt the line and say that, oh, well, you can't believe these women without saying that they don't believe these women, which is bullshit. And Katty K here and everybody else on Morning Joe, surprisingly I'm saying this, saw through it. So let's continue on because this is where it really gets kind of good.
No, you just said it could. It's a question. You were describing a first-class category where there was an
Stop. Hey, can you turn her microphone off, please?
No.
Turn her microphone off so I can talk.
No. It's a simple question. Yes or no? Do you believe these women are lying or not? Nobody's trying to paint you as a bad.
He literally told a woman asking him about sexual assault, who he's a guest on their show, can you turn her mic off?
And here's the kicker. She wasn't the only one speaking up. It was also other men who were in the studio speaking up too, but her mic got to get turned off, right?
Yeah. Which is exactly what's happening right now with the Trump campaign. There's a bunch of women who are asking these questions, not just the assault victims, but news hosts, reporters, and things like that. And you have these men literally telling them, we're not going to answer your question. You're part of the corporate media. We're going to have you basically shutting them up and telling them to be quiet, which goes to show you the larger problem with rape culture and sexual assault in this country, where it's just a bunch of men telling women to shut up and listen to us. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to answer your question, which is so fucking disgusting. It's disgusting.
Keep going. We just want an answer. Straight talk.
It doesn't matter whether they're lying or not.
Of course it matters.
What matters is their plan. You're not fucking Bane, you fucking jackass. The fuck are you talking about? It doesn't matter if they're lying. Yeah, it does. If you think that they're lying, then that's news. You're telling me you do not believe women who have committed, who have fairly credible claims of sexual assault against Donald Trump. That's news. If you're saying you do believe them, then you're telling me that you are still supporting a man who has sexually assaulted women. Which is it? That you cannot be iffy on this issue. You cannot, you cannot do this. You can't. This isn't holding Bill Clinton's accusers against Hillary Clinton, because again, Hillary Clinton sexually assaulted no one. Now, you can hold it against Bill Clinton, but everybody likes to say Bill Clinton isn't running for president. I actually saw one clip, and it drove me crazy. I think it was CNN. Woman actually said, when they were asked, it's like, well, they were bringing up the sexual assault victims and using against Hillary Clinton. They were like, well, so isn't that more of an indictment on Bill Clinton than it is on Hillary Clinton? And she goes, I don't really care about Bill Clinton. It doesn't really matter about him. And I'm like, wait a minute. He's the one you're saying is the man who sexually assaulted them. He is the abuser, not Hillary Clinton. So what you're seeing here on both of these cases is you're seeing women take the brunt of the charges. So in the case of Donald Trump's accusers, it's you can't believe them. They're lying against this man. In the case of Hillary Clinton, it's, yeah, Bill Clinton is a rapist. Bill Clinton is a disgusting man. He has groped and sexually assaulted women. But we're going to let Bill Clinton slide, and we're going to hold Hillary Clinton to this because, yeah, well, she's married to him. So Hillary Clinton takes more of a brunt than Bill Clinton is. And people will go, well, Bill's not running for president. Yeah, he ran for president twice and ran. So you can't tell me that somehow his wife is less qualified now when you've already elected a man twice who's done this. And not only that, but when Bill Clinton was running, was campaigning for Al Gore, when he finally did campaign for Al Gore, nobody brought it up then. When Bill Clinton was campaigning twice for Barack Obama, people tell you all the time in 2008 and 2012, well, in 2012 particularly, that Bill Clinton was the best surrogate that Barack Obama had. How do you hold Hillary Clinton to a higher standard than her husband if he's the one that committed the sexual assaults? So here on both cases, you're holding women more accountable than the men who are the disgusting human beings. What the fuck? It's driving me fucking crazy. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't tell me you're disgusted at Hillary Clinton and then in the same breath goes, oh, well, I don't really care what Bill Clinton did. But it's his act.
Listen, it doesn't matter whether they're lying or not. What matters is that the train is going off the cliff. We're taking our eye off of that, and we're getting involved in other issues that can be taken care of later.
If the campaign is saying, and you are suggesting that they are lying because this possibly couldn't have happened because of the way that first-class cabins are designed and their air hostess is there, which is implying that you think they are lying, that they're not telling the truth, then that's a huge issue.
Okay. Here's what we need to...
He said it again. People always cut the first time he told her to cut her mic off. He did it the second time. Do you guys have a plug? He wanted to pull the plug on Katty K's mic. Second time. Twice he's asked the woman's mic to be cut off for asking him legit questions about his position on backing a candidate who was admitted to sexual assault. That's the other thing too. All right? Again, Bill Clinton, I don't fuck with Bill Clinton. I think Bill Clinton shouldn't be campaigning. I think he's the worst surrogate that Hillary Clinton has. I think that a lot of the charges that Bill Clinton are going against Bill Clinton are true. Fuck Bill Clinton, all right? Donald Trump, and I don't think at any point Bill Clinton did tell them this, Donald Trump has his own words saying he does this. These women have only come forward, one, because the tape, the Hollywood, the Access Hollywood tape came out on Friday, 2 weeks ago, but also because Donald Trump had a debate when asked if he's actually done that stuff, has said, I don't do that. Even though on the tape he says he does, and we're not coming out going, you're lying, you have done that. Your Candace owned words have said he sexually assaults women.
Sorry, So, Trump just suggested Hillary Clinton's taking drugs to prep for her next debate.
Oh, this is recent? No, probably so. He's gone scorched earth. He's gone scorched earth. Yeah, he has.
Be thinking about. I love the fact that all of a sudden you want to talk about morality in our country. I would love us to bring back our Judeo-Christian values and begin to teach those things and emphasize them at a time other than a political election. Let's do that. But
it's funny how they always say that, but you guys use Judeo-Christian values as your excuse why you don't support gay marriage.
Or trans people.
But you guys use that for your excuse. Why are you saying all of a sudden now it doesn't count? Like, the amount of people that have come out and tried to excuse Donald Trump's own words and his own assaulting of women it's not assault. Like Jerry Falwell Jr., the student at what university is that? Liberty? I can't remember what university it is that Jerry Falwell won, and his father was a fuckface, and he's one too. Come out when he was asked if it came out that the allegations against Donald Trump were true, he couldn't answer the question. You're talking about Judeo-Christian values and being morality and all this other shit, and values this and values that, and you come out and you can't answer the question as whether you will support Donald Trump if the allegations against him are true. That tells me you would, and it also tells me you don't care about women's rights and you don't care about rape victims and sexual assault. Period. Last thing before we move on, because there's some other stuff I want to get to in this last half hour before we do all this. I want to kind of push back against this notion of locker room talk. Everybody's always pushing back against it, right? Oh, not locker room talk. And, you had LeBron come out and say, and shout out to LeBron for standing up for that and saying that's not locker room talk and that's not what we talk about in locker room. Whereas Tom Brady just smiled and walked off because Tom Brady's a fuckface.
I hate Tom Brady. Let me just put that out.
You know what? I never really had a problem with Tom Brady until I realized that he really is a privileged fuckface, and fuck him. So there's that. But here's the thing I want to say. And I'm saying this as a man and doing what I can only do when I hear. And again, I loved Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama is probably the best surrogate that and supporter for Hillary Clinton that she has. She has given at least 3 very heartfelt, very powerful endorsement speeches. And I'm gonna tell you right now,
Bill, don't let Bill stay home. She is way better than Bill
Clinton.
Right.
You do not need Bill Clinton. Stop putting Bill Clinton out there. He is the worst. I would love it if she got into the office and she probably wouldn't do it until her second term. I would love it if she divorced Bill. I wouldn't put it past her. But hey, you know what? Maybe they work things out. I don't know. But Bill Clinton is terrible.
He is.
And I love her speech, and I think that you fall into two categories. Either you are very sad that Michelle Obama is will never run for office, or if you are a Democrat who has political aspirations, you are very happy that she won't because you would never win against her. Because she literally, I know she has said no and she does not like it, and I would not wish this on her because God forbid everybody knows. Like her, what people don't realize when she gave that, she threw out her speech and she gave her heartfelt speech condemning Donald Trump without even naming his name, which I love when she does this. Is you got to remember that Michelle Obama has 8 years of being attacked by the GOP, by Republicans, by the right, well before Donald Trump. Like, I think we need to also make sure that we understand that when the GOP says, well, this is just Donald Trump, and no, this has been your party and what your party has done.
It's also been Rush Limbaugh who also has just made a complete 180, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you guys have done this forever. You have attacked Michelle Obama and her family. So that speech was more than just sexual assault, which I think she's probably also speaking truth and from personal experience on that too. But it's just you have vileness that has been slung at her personally and her family. So that's where that came from. The one thing that I will disagree with, and I hate to do this, disagree with Mrs. Obama and even LeBron James and everybody else who's come out there and talked about how this is not locker room talk. I will say, yes, sometimes this is locker room talk.
Absolutely.
Sometimes there are men who say things like Donald Trump, who have talked about sexual assault. I've been around that talk, and I am sad to say that, when I was younger and didn't know any better, we would laugh at that kind of talk. We would hear this kind of stuff. You would hear this. Yes. The difference is now we know that is unacceptable. And that it's very important for us to go out there and say that whether it's locker room talk or not, because what happens is people say, well, it's just locker room talk. It's just what guys say. And, guys say this kind of...
It's their way of dismissing it. So there's two things.
You can't just say that. You have to come out there and say that even if it is locker room talk, it is disgusting and unacceptable. Period.
Yep. So two things. I don't want Michelle Obama to run because I'm a black woman on Twitter. Mm-hmm. It's bad enough.
Right. I can't go 8 years of that. I can't. Would love to, but
it's bad. That's going to be black woman on Twitter times a trillion if she runs. And here's the kicker. A lot of the stuff that they've attacked her on in the last 8 years is her appearance. Mm-hmm. So I do think that absolutely when she was speaking about sexual assault and feeling and looking in the mirror and people judging you because of your appearance, that is from hard factual evidence and experience.
Absolutely.
I don't want her to go through that from a campaigning standpoint. That's why I don't want her to run. I want just to protect her and hide her from the world. But I agree. I think they've been using the phrase locker room talk to dismiss it or minimize how extremely ridiculous it is. And Michelle did a really great job of talking about how, hey, this is a presidential nominee of the United States. At least, like, if we split the country in two, half the people are okay with this. This is this is not somebody in the street or a regular old civilian. This is someone who has, through the votes of their primary, has become the presidential nominee of the United States. There is a chance that Donald Trump will be president, and he has admitted to sexual assault. Mm-hmm. That is extremely dangerous and extremely wrong, and we can't have that. So, yeah, they use locker room talk as a way to dismiss it. So the counter to that being like, it's not just locker room talk, but you're absolutely right. There are, whether it's a locker room, a boardroom, a presidential debate, or whatever, there is rampant misogyny and patriarchy in our just world. And when it doesn't matter what the platform is or the place is, it's happening. There are men who brag about their conquest who commit sexual assault or rape, and they think that it's all right and it's A-okay. Doesn't matter whether it's in a locker room or otherwise, and that's a problem. So I definitely understand where you're coming from in that regard. Like, we can't dismiss it as just locker room talk or not locker room talk. It's more of an issue of there's an extreme issue with sexual assault and rape in our country, and there's particularly a definite issue with misogyny and patriarchy, which stems into what sexual assault and rape is in our country.
Yeah, you see it on Twitter. Like, there are guys who've said this. We have the whole street harassment talk. Like again, you can whether dismissing it as, again, locker room talk. This is what guys do, and like what you have is you basically what I feel is like when a woman says this is not locker room talk and speaks of that, like, I'm fine with that. The problem I have is when I've been seeing a lot of men going, this is not locker room talk. Like, no men I know talk. And then I get this not all men feel to it where I'm like, wait a minute. Like, as men, we need to take a step back and realize that Donald Trump is not alone in thinking like this. We know, fellas, we might have been that man who thought this way. Maybe not did it, but thought this way. We might know family members, friends, associates, co-workers. We know people who have done this. We cannot sit here and go, well, I don't know anybody who says this, because if that was the case, then women would not be sexually assaulted at the rate they are at now. So
also, I always feel uncomfortable when they just say, like, well, this is what guys do, because I have a brother. I have a 16-year-old brother. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to don't put that bad juju on him, Ricky Bobby. Like, I don't want you to do that. Like, he has the opportunity to grow up and understand that that's not okay and that is wrong. And the fact that you just debase it to, well, that's just what guys do. Yo, there's a slew of guys who don't do that, but also, like, you really don't think highly about your own people. Mm-hmm. If you just think that that's what all men do. Like, the fact that you just excuse it being like, oh, that's what guys do, is just guys being guys, so guys automatically sexually assault and rape? Yikes. I don't know if I want to be a dude.
Right. Right, you can't do that. Like, you can't just dismiss it like that. If we're gonna have a real conversation, and I hate to say this, that this is a good opportunity to have a real conversation about this, then we cannot have that conversation by starting off by ignoring that this even happens. You know, by ignoring and trying to dismiss it. And it's dismissive language, like going, not all men, like, you know, like, listen, you like I said, you had LeBron James come out and say, oh, we don't, the men we talk about what happened next game and stuff like that. Like, okay, LeBron, you're being fucking Mother Teresa right now. You're trying to tell me that you've never heard your fellow men talk derogatory terms about women. I'm gonna tell you right now, maybe you didn't do it yourself. Maybe some of your closest teammates didn't do it, but you're full of shit. Like it's to that point where people are now trying to distance themselves so much from Donald Trump stuff. We're now trying to act like that this isn't a more common occurrence than it really is. Like, there's a reason why Billy Bush sat there and laughed while Donald Trump said that. And it doesn't stop at just Billy Bush being a piece of shit. All right? It's more than that. A lot of us have done this. A lot of us have sat there and listened to this kind of talk from our friends, from our family, and have learned it from people like that and didn't say anything. Now's not the time to sit there and go, well, I've never heard anything like this before. No man I know talks about shit like this. No. Lots of men I know have talked like this before. And we need to start pushing back against that and saying, no, that is a terrible thing to say. That is sexual assault. There's a reason why so many of these men who are supporting Donald Trump still are coming out and saying that's not sexual assault. The reason why is because they don't have any male friends going, hey, Jeff Sessions, grabbing a woman by her pussy without her consent is sexual assault, you jackass. Me and you are friends, but that's what it is. So, as men, our job right now isn't to distance ourselves from the locker room talk point, or even the sexual assault talk. We've been around that. We know that. Our job is to stand up and say that it's wrong. Every time I hear a man go, this is not locker room talk, without following up with, and even if it is disgusting behavior and disgusting to say and is wrong, I start going, oh, this is another not all men thing. You're embarrassed or whatever and don't want to admit that you've heard this or have said it yourself. We can't do that. And like that was my big thing for that. Like I started seeing that and was like, no, we can't, nope, nope, not gonna do that. So, all right, excuse me. All right, let's we'll move on from this. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this was a good one. This is not necessarily. We're staying with politics here, but I saw this story float down my timeline. A GOP candidate offers Harlem residents free KFC and watermelon. Yeah, Republican candidate for New York State Senate taking heat after he promised to give out free fried chicken and watermelon to people who attended one of his campaign events in Harlem. NBC4 New York reports that John Gerads, the Republican candidate for New York's 30th district, told the news station that he planned to hand out Kool-Aid, KFC, and watermelons to people who attended a Harlem campaign rally in the coming weeks.
What?
Well, I think is anyone who gives free food to people is doing them a favor, he told NBC4. Get a bunch of people who say it's offensive and let me go into their neighborhood and give it for free and see if they take it. First of all, motherfucker, you're giving out KFC and not Popeyes, so already you're fucking up. That's number one. All right? Fried chicken, Kool-Aid, and watermelons.
Again, what?
Yeah. Fried chicken, KFC, and watermelons. No problem. Let's see. When was this taken? So then the same guy, a Republican candidate for state senate, was busted Friday for bilking at least 10 people in a Craigslist rent scam, police say. John Gerads, the guy who just from the KFC, fried chicken, KFC, Kool-Aid, and watermelon, faces several grand larceny charges for listing his ritzy Hell's Kitchen apartment online and collecting rent deposits only to back out of the deal and keep the cash, cops say. Gerads, who is running for Harlem State Senate seat now, held by Bill Perkins, stole a total of $50,000 from 10 victims, both men and women, police say. After listing his luxury digs on 635 West and 42nd Street, and demanded a year's rent in cash up front, the political refused to hand over the keys, cops say. He stole over $11,000 from one woman alone, about $7,750 for a reported lease, and another $3,500 to help her find an immigration lawyer, ABC reported. Yeah. I love the NYPD, but there are two sides to every story, the candidate quipped. He was still smiling as cops loaded him into the back of an unmarked SUV as he headed to a Manhattan criminal court to be arraigned. Gerads' bust comes just days after he outraged Harlem residents by telling a reporter he planned to woo prospective voters in a historically black neighborhood with Kool-Aid, fried chicken, and watermelons. Same guy.
Again, what? Why?
I changed my mind. I love New York. I changed my mind. I just want you guys to know I have left Joy speechless, and that is very hard to do.
I'm sitting here like, I'm so confused. Like, what is with...
Here's another one. Not politics, but close enough. United Airlines passenger kicked off a plane because of Marvel superhero hat. A passenger wearing a Black Panther baseball cap was told to remove the headgear because, along with the t-shirt with an upside-down American flag, makes the pilot uncomfortable. Earlier today, freelance esports journalist Amanda Stevens shared images. I saw reports that she's a trans woman, too. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that makes it even worse. Shared images on Twitter from an onboard United Airlines flight to Chicago. Stevens was en route to cover League of Legends quarterfinal, but was told by the flight staff that her shirt, an ASP Rocky design pulled from stores years ago, and a baseball cap with a logo of Marvel Comics Black Panther made the pilot uncomfortable. Yeah.
Why? How is the pilot? Why is the pilot paying? What?
Yeah.
Why? Shouldn't the pilot be paying attention to the damn plane?
Yeah. This is from IO9. Reached by phone, Stevens told IO9 that a United representative first raised concern when she was preparing to board flight 5183 from Albany to Chicago. Stevens told me that she had flown in this outfit before, but turned the shirt inside out. She was then told that the hat was a concern as well. She was allowed to board the plane, but had a tense exchange with an attendant who asked her to place her bag under the seat in front of her. I didn't know if I was going to be staying on the plane or not, I said. She told me I was grumbling because I was frustrated. Stephen then told me that the exchange with the flight attendant was given as the reason that she was ejected from the flight. Stephen said that she received a direct message from the official United account on Twitter and returned to the service counter at the gate under the assumption that she'd be getting booked on the next flight. However, the United employees that Stephen was dealing with retreated to an employees-only area, and Stephen told me that she had been waiting with no acknowledgement for more than 2 hours. We reached out to United for a comment, and we'll update if a reply. The update came about 30 minutes later. United responded to the situation with a rather puzzling statement, and let me read United's statement. Hold on. United's statement is, we have reached out to Ms. Campos to discuss her concerns, which is, they completely misidentified the person because it wasn't Campos. Our goal is to provide safe and comfortable travel for all our customers, and we regret that Ms. Campos was unhappy with the handling of seating arrangements on our flight. United holds our employees to the highest standards of professional and has zero tolerance for discrimination.
But it's not a seating arrangement. It's the pilot was uncomfortable with, frankly, in 2018, they're going to be really uncomfortable because...
Apparently, they sent the wrong statement to them. It was from 2 weeks ago. United emails the following statement. We are in contact with Ms. Stevens to discuss the matter further. Both United and SkyWest hold our employees to same thing. Hold our employees to the higher standards of professionalism and have zero tolerance for discrimination.
So they sent the woman the wrong statement.
No, I think they sent the statement to IO9. IO9 reached out to them to get a statement, and they sent the wrong statement to the news outlet. Cause fuck them.
Oh my god! So that means that there's two women out here who've been discriminated against on United Airlines.
Yeah.
And they sent the wrong statement. Oh my god! Like, this couldn't get worse. Listen, in 2018 February, they're gonna be really scared because there's gonna be a lot of Black Panther merchandise when the movie comes out. And let me tell you, it is not gonna be pretty. There's gonna be a lot of terrified white folk in the streets because, February 2018, we are showing out. I hope they understand.
It literally has the comic book character on the hat, the brim of the hat.
It really does. Like, I saw the picture. It's, girl, why? Like, I'm just tired. Like, and I always find it funny how, again, freedom of speech is fine when it's Aryan Nation or KKK, but, let a black person wear a cartoon that happens to be named Black Panther. It's a cartoon. Like, it's a comic book character. And it's a problem. Or upside down flag, and now it's like, oh my god. Like, guys, it's fine. It's not that serious. Like, you can stop discriminating against brown and black people. Thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am, that's where you're wrong. It is that serious. It is that serious.
The fact that she even had to take and put her shirt on back, like,
inside out.
Pretty much backward, like, inside out, to make the pilot comfortable is ridiculous in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, last thing before we get out of here, we're not going to do Whiteness Project Roulette. We're not, because I've had you on too many times to do that, so I can't do that. So instead, come on, it's either one or the other. It's either Whiteness Project Roulette or you get Great Moments of White Privilege.
Haven't I suffered enough, Chris?
No, nobody has suffered enough. Like, if I had to read this,
we just had, like, you just rendered me speechless because there's two different examples of people talking about chicken and, like, Kool-Aid and watermelon, and I'm still speechless because I'm so confused because I could have sworn it was 2016, the year of our Lord Beyonce, but clearly.
For this one, great moments of white privilege. I can't remember exactly where this breaks down, so I'm going to play this whole clip. But all hell breaks loose when Fox News guest mentions white privilege. It is hilarious. All right.
Bill Clinton had to say about supporters of Donald Trump.
Oh no, I remember. Okay, so this whole clip is hilarious, right? Because they're going to get mad because Bill Clinton uses the term redneck, and they're going to say that this is racist. It's hilarious.
Give a listen here from Florida.
The other guy's base is what I grew up in. You know, I'm basically your redneck.
The other guy's base. That's you, Brad. Stand up and be counted.
Wait,
Brad
pause
White,
it,
Deputy
pause it,
Assistant
pause it.
President George W. Bush, Momiki Consta.
Hold on. You're saying yes.
He referred to himself as a redneck.
Yes. Hold that thought. That's why I said this is great. This is why I had to finish the show on this one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to do this to you. But this is 6 minutes of greatness.
Oh.
So the filter on Sirius XM Radio and a Democratic strategist. To both of you, hello.
Hello.
Wow, bunch of rednecks. That's all you are, Trump supporters. Bunch of rednecks. What do you think, Brad? Damage?
Look, I think it's worse than being called a deplorable, because redneck has a racist tone. Bill Clinton knows that. He admits that he grew up in that era of racism.
I have a racist tone. This is going to be so good.
Oh, God.
He knows exactly what redneck means, especially beyond southern borders. So I think it's worse, and I think Bill Clinton owes not only Trump supporters, he owes the American people an apology. And listen to what Hillary Clinton said in the debate.
Donald Trump called Mexicans rapists and didn't need to apologize. But Bill Clinton calls himself a southern redneck, and he needs to apologize to the American people. White tears.
It's ridiculous.
White feelings are amazing.
To be a president of all the people. Well, guess what? She just not only alienated a huge group of Republicans, but I think she offended the entire American people.
Does he owe America an apology, Nomiki?
No. Brad, that's why they pay you the big bucks. That's why Bush paid you to be a great messenger, because you took something that Bill Clinton said, saying that he was a redneck, and that's what Bill Clinton said, is that he grew up in the Deep South. And the reason he said this was because he was trying to illustrate why he understood. He really could get into the mentality of why a base of supporters in the Deep South supported Donald Trump. But then he later went on to say that Donald Trump is not going to solve their problems. Donald Trump is not going to solve the economic problems that they're facing, what they're dealing with in the Deep South. And that's something that Bill Clinton can independently, uniquely describe.
You're pretty good at your job, too. Because in that same speech, he said they go into West Virginia, and all those people are watching Fox News. Coal country, all those bad people.
Hello.
Right? All those bad people.
Bill Hemmer has really fallen off, has become a troll. And I'm like, but Bill, you're on Fox News, and we do know those people watch Fox News. So what are you actually really saying here? We do know. Come on, dude.
All you bad folks who are watching Fox News, ask it, Nomiki.
He doesn't say bad folks, but he does talk about
heard it.
Group of base voters.
What do you think he was then implying?
I think that he's talking about a group of base voters, not all the Republicans, not every single Fox News watcher, but a group of base voters.
I'll say it. All Fox News watchers are terrible. I'm just saying that. Listen,
this is your deplorables comment, Chris.
This is my deplorable comment, but I'll say that I hate when I go into. There's nothing worse. I hate when I go into like an auto shop and they got Fox News on the. I hate when I go somewhere and there's news on. Period. All right. Like, if you go into government buildings, too, they're famous for this, having the news on, the 24-hour news cycles on, and I hate that shit, because what happens is news always turns into a conversation starter, and I'm not trying to have a random conversation with random Americans about the election, because I might have to kill somebody. No. No.
Donald Trump's the white working class vote that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are fighting over, that want to go back to a time, and Bill Clinton does say this, where the white man really was more successful than pretty much every other demographic.
This is a racist remark.
It sure is.
He's a white man.
Are you alleging that it's a compliment?
These two white men got upset. This is white privilege at its best. It's amazing.
Are you saying that what he was doing was complimenting the Republican supporters of Donald Trump, especially those living in the South?
There's a pretty firm line between a compliment and trying to identify a base of voters that he
was being
grew up
derogatory.
around.
That's what he was doing.
Okay, you know what's derogatory? Saying that you're going to ban Muslims, saying sexist things about women.
We have debated that. We have debated that over and over again. Address Brad's point, Amiki.
Was he being derogatory? No, he was joking. He grew up in the Deep South,
Joking.
and if he's Bubba, his nickname is Bubba.
Wait, I did not know that was his nickname.
Oh yeah, it's Bubba. Yeah, that's his nickname, Bubba. So it's like,
I have a cousin named Bubba. I'm really a concern.
Oh god.
Be real. If there's anybody in the race who understands the Deep South, it's Bill Clinton. It is not Donald Trump. You'd be surprised if Donald Trump even visited the Deep South before he was campaigning.
The coal people don't like us anymore. They all voted for me. I won twice, and they did well. You know, I'm basically your standard redneck. That's what he said. That's
what he said, because he grew up in that area and he understands the needs and the struggles that they're facing. But
they're really upset that Bill Clinton called himself a redneck. Not that he didn't even call anybody else a redneck. He called himself a redneck.
He talked about himself. And they're that offended.
I'm hard on what Bill Clinton said, and again, we've said it before. I think he's a terrible campaign person for Hillary Clinton. This is the one time I'm going like, yo, he really didn't say anything bad this time.
He really said nothing. He was talking about himself being a redneck, which that's kind of true. He is a redneck.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna, shit.
Apparently, he's still a redneck. Because if he claims that he comes from that area and that he was a redneck, then perhaps he still is a redneck. Do you say he's a redneck?
That's not for me to say. That's, he was the one who self-declared himself a redneck. I don't think it's something that is really up for debate. People have made comedy careers off of using that word. It's part of the...
Jeff Foxworthy goes, you might be a redneck and she's right, made a whole career off of you might be a redneck if. He's not even a funny dude.
To be honest, it's not like it's other people who enjoys that comedy. It's other rednecks who really enjoy Jeff Foxworthy.
There's no black person that goes, you know what, I'm going to go see that Jeff Foxworthy.
Nobody does that. It's really only rednecks who like redneck humor. So Jeff Foxworthy became successful because there is a large percentage of rednecks.
Branding, I think that, it's for a white man to say that it's a racist
I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm not a redneck, okay? And I take offense at anybody who would dare call me
You're not from the Deep South. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you hurt? Are you offended as a white man who comes from privilege?
Offended.
Okay.
Yes, I am offended.
All right, enough with the privilege. You guys have been struggling so hard your entire life.
I work for everything I got.
Let's get real.
Okay?
Come on.
Is that where this is going?
The victim.
Is that where this is going, Nomiki?
I think that's what it is. I think that there's a group of voters that think that they are being, they're the ones who are being marginalized. But the real people being marginalized.
Well, you just dropped the white privilege bomb here.
Oh my God. The white privilege bomb.
I told you this video was amazing, and they're just like, you got these two white
privilege bomb. I can imagine their faces like,
no,
how dare you?
Look, I'm gonna include this in the show notes. You gotta watch it because when he goes on, hold on, Naomi, you just. Bill Hemmer has his hand in his head. He's looking at her like he's like shocked. Like you got to see his face. Like I can't believe she said white privilege. I am so you got to see their faces. It is amazing.
Like they definitely are exhibiting white male privilege.
No,
that's the funny part.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it was a racist comment. Since when has anything in society been racist against white men? Name some instances. That's what it is.
See, that's exactly what we should.
They didn't name any instances.
They definitely got very quiet.
We shouldn't be
they got definitely quiet.
People against each other. Hillary Clinton said she'd be the president of all the people, those who voted for her and those who didn't. She even said she misspoke when she said the word deplorables, and now Bill Clinton throws gasoline on the fire and takes it to a whole new level and then uses a derogatory term that everybody knows.
We've seen it in the past. Now, Miki, wrap it up here before you get back to Brooklyn quickly.
I live in Astoria.
Pause it. Correct me if I'm wrong. She didn't necessarily apologize. Didn't she say she shouldn't have said half?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not an apology.
Right? No. But she knew enough. But here's, the brilliance about Hillary Clinton doing the bastard deplorable thing is Trump supporters are so fucking stupid. They embraced it, and they're now really calling. If you go on Twitter, you'll see Trump, deplorable Becky or deplorable Mary. They literally put deplorable. They're now calling themselves deplorable.
They're trying to be sarcastic, but it's not working.
It's not, because they're calling themselves deplorable at the same time when they spew horrible, deplorable shit, and it's fucking hilarious. Hilarious.
No, I mean, it really comes down to this. He was making a comment to talk about the problems that a group of voters face that he identifies with, that he grew up around. Now, Brad, you're the one who used the word racist. You're the one who brought that in.
Yeah, because I know what the term means.
Okay. All right. I'm sure you felt a lot of racism in your life, Brad.
Oh, come on. I told you. This was great. It was a great way to end the show. It was just like...
Yo, I'm gonna use that from now on. Okay, Brad. All right.
I'm sure you felt a lot of racism in your life. Like, it's just, oh man, yo, so good, so good, so good.
She just sounded so fed up. Like, girl, and she made some excellent points. Like, out of all the comments that Donald Trump has said about Mexicans, about Muslim people, these are points that she brought up, and she's absolutely right. This is what gets y'all offended and y'all Trump supporters.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton calling himself a redneck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are ridiculous. Like, everybody's ridiculous. This is so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was, I saw that and it was just like, you guys gotta be fucking kidding me. You gotta love Fox News sometimes. They're just so full of shit. And you're just like, oh, fuck it. Okay, cool. Whatever. That's all I got. Yeah. Great show. Thank you for being on and dealing with the bullshit. We got some fun stuff at the beginning. We talked for like 40 minutes about New York Comic Con. That was fun.
Sure. Okay. So
wait a minute. Are you telling me New York Comic Con wasn't fun?
No. I'm not saying that. New York Comic Con is very fun. Let me put that into the ethos. But we went into some utter bullshit. Like, I feel so mentally and spiritually drained, but it's okay. I signed up for this. Next time, I'm not going to contact you until you tell me I want you on the show.
Don't contact me until after the election. If Trump,
that might be it. Maybe
Trump
I should
loses.
just not come on until after November 8th.
I'm telling you, I only got one more spot left anyway. The 29th, I'm looking for a guest on the 29th. Everybody else is booked. Like next week, I got Justin. The first weekend in November, I had the ladies from Whiskey, Wine, and Moonshine, and then after election, D-Palm is coming in because he's calling his shot. And I'm not gonna. This is gonna sound so fucked up. As a black person, just as a human being in this country, I want Donald Trump to get routed on November 8th. As a podcaster, though, bringing D-Palm on that weekend, on the 12th. Or the 13th, one of those days, because I'm going to UFC 205 that day, so it might have to be the 13th. I almost kind of want Donald Trump to lose just to see D-Palm melt down. He's going to hear this. He's going to tell me I'm a terrible person, and he is not wrong. I am a terrible individual.
Yeah, no, bring him right after the election is over, and they call who won and who lost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So that's what I got coming up. I'm gonna find somebody on the 29th. I might reach out to Rod and Karen, see if they're available, because I haven't had them on in a while. And I know they're down in Miami right now for the Revolt TV panel.
Living their best life.
Yeah, they really are. They're, I always love it when us black people can go out and do some shit, and especially black podcasters. We work so hard, get out there and enjoy life, because it's so hard with everything else we got going on, and we're working so hard all the time. Like, after I get done with this, I got to run out to the store after I do another podcast after this. And then I got to work. It's so hard. So it's good to see one of us go out there, or a couple of us go out there and have some fun out there. Also, I didn't mention this before, but, I'll say this now. I'm working with people now to try to get more different kind of content out there on Premium Network. I'm really looking to get other people shows and things like that and premium stuff. Cover more TV shows and things like that. There'll probably be premium content, just so we can change up the premium content we have out there. None of the shows are going away. All the shows we have now are there. I'm looking at adding new shows or new reviews and things like that we do. I just get some new voices out there. And I'm saying this to say, listen, the more people that sign up for premium is the way we pay for everything we do for this site. So the more people that sign up for premium and become premium members, the more content we can produce, the more places we can go, the more events we can cover. So that is the way we were able to cover this. I'm excited to say this year I was able to cover the full cost of our hotel for New York Comic Con, where Phenom me and him didn't have to split the cost, and I'm able to give everybody who has been a regular contributor to the MTR network some gift cards I'm gonna send out hopefully next month. So D-Palm, Shanna, the doctor, everyone who's been contributing to us through the podcast stuff. So the more you guys can support us, and the more you can get your friends and family sign up for premium stuff and getting the content out there. Again, $8 a month. It's not a lot of stuff out there. So Joy, as always, joy to have you on. Tell folks where they can find you at and get up with all the good stuff you're doing over there.
Blackgirlnerds.com. We are on SoundCloud for Black Girl Nerds, the podcast. I'm on the Twitters. I'm at the Twitters. I be tweetering and such. I'm at Jumped for Joy, JUMPEDFORJOI, and I always mention this because all the cool Joys have an I in their name. And just tweet me, DM me. Actually, don't DM me. That's a lie. I'm gonna scratch that out. Don't DM me, but tweet me. And you'll just see me fluttering around. I'll be back on the show probably in December, the new year, because I don't want to be back here in November, closer and closer to election time. So I'm trying to save my sanity.
It's going to be disgusting. Like next week is the final debate, and Donald Trump is literally going into fucking mode. He's going full Breitbart, and it's taking him quicker and quicker with every debate to lose his mind. Mm-hmm. So he's just going to start this last debate with his mind lost. Like, we're so close to the election, it doesn't feel like that, because I feel like we've been in this constant, like, hellhole loop for a long period of time, and we're actually towards the end, and it feels like it's not realistic, but we're actually closer to the end, guys. The election is around the corner. We could be done with this, finally. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, thank you very much for joining me, ma'am. Everyone else, we got I almost forgot a little mini announcement. We got a lot of mini announcements today. The unanimous decision, D-Palm Show, is now on iTunes. You can now search for it. It has its own feed. So now you don't have to worry about, because again, we have so much content. Let me stop the music. All right, listen. I want to thank everybody. I know everybody likes subscribing to the main MTR network feed. I'm not going to really tell people you shouldn't do that. However, if you listen to all of our shows, I highly recommend subscribing to each of the feeds separately, just because it would be faster to get your show out there. Because we have so much stuff going on, the feeds there, it's easy to lose it. And I know some sites, they only download the latest 3 episodes. You can miss an episode that way if you do that with us, because we're putting out so much content. Like tomorrow alone, we have 3 shows, including this one, 4. Because I have the Insanity Check, we have our Legend of Tomorrow and Arrow recap, we have the Luke Cage review, and then we have the unanimous decision. So it's really best if you subscribe to the Insanity Check separately, Character Corner separately, Super Tuesday separately, and unanimous decision separately. We haven't had one for our movie reviews, movie trailer reviews. If you go there and just subscribe to our movie reviews separately, or you can stay on the main feed. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that you got to be careful, because there's going to be a lot of content coming out. I mean, we literally have something coming out almost every day of the week now. It's a lot of content. So, So, Unanimous Decision is now on iTunes, and it'll be searchable. You can get it from there. And I will be on with D-Palm tomorrow, so Unanimous Decision, because he just can't get enough of me trolling him. So, he's going to like that. So, again, search for this. Insanity Check on iTunes, Stitcher Radio. Look out for everything else we got coming out there. MTRnetwork.net. We'll be switching it over soon. We even got their new email addresses coming out to everybody. So, folks, thank you guys very much for listening. And until next time, we're out of here. Peace.
Bye, guys.